happened? All right. And we are live. Welcome to the Iron Lords podcast, episode number 42. And it's another glorious Sunday, and we are back at the round table on the Lord's Day. No Four Horsemen theme. Shout out to Lord Anchorman today. I was kind of hype about that. We've got a very special guest, PUBG 60 frames per second fiasco. Can Bungie turn around Destiny 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and who won 2017 to discuss? So we're going to get right into it. I want to introduce a Lord whose content I first came across through Lord Soverign. This young Lord is one of the bright up-and-comers in our gaming community, delivers solid content with insightful commentary in a unique and hilarious way. Introducing the host of the Potentially Perfect YouTube channel, one half of the Hammond Bros with Lord Steve, and always with me, get good gaming to us in our hearts. Welcoming into the realm of the Lords, my man, Lord Dolapo. How you doing, sir?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me here, man. I'm so excited to get into this.
Absolute pleasure. Nice. Good to have you, man. We like what you're doing out there. Appreciate the channel.
Thank you so much.
No doubt, we're gonna have some fun today. And of course, we have those usual suspects at the round table. My co-host with the co-most, my brother from another mother, and the howl of the young wolf. My man, Lord Addict. How are you doing, sir?
Pretty good, man. How you guys doing?
Ooh, that energy level.
Fresh. Yo, you sounded so fresh right now, man. I got a man crush on your energy right now.
I'm done.
Take a 10-hour energy.
Man sound rested. Wow, I'm liking this.
I'm loving it.
I don't work overnight anymore.
Beautiful, baby. I love that energy. Let's do it.
It's a new day. And of course, our most technical gaming Lord, fresh off vacation, back on the scene.
Hello.
The solo gamer who lives for the single player selfish experience. Can't say he was offline because he was away.
He had that switch with him, though.
He had that switch, I bet. My man, Lord Sovereign, how you doing, sir?
Doing fantastic, man. Glad to be back. Not glad to be back in the cold, but glad to be back. Yeah, man, doing good. It was a nice little couple days out in paradise.
Where'd you go?
I was in Puerto Rico. We went to see family and surprised the in-laws, so that was good. You know, got a little video of that. My mother-in-law started crying and whatnot. So,
that's what's
but
up.
it was good. They needed that. My wife needed that. Got to eat a lot of food I didn't need to be eating, but you know.
Lord, got to work on some pounds.
Yeah, you know, coquito, all that good stuff.
Lord of the snack.
Yeah. It was good to be on the island though, man. It was it's still, there are places that are in pretty decent condition. I can't complain about, you know, my family's hometown and my in-laws, they're doing pretty well, but there are other places where it's just not great. So I mean, yeah, people living in caves and crazy stuff like that. So yeah, man, it still needs a lot of work, but the Christmas season in Puerto Rico, Puerto Ricans are notorious for how they celebrate the holidays. They celebrate from Thanksgiving all the way through to February, like nonstop. So no matter the situation, the holiday spirit was in full effect over there. So it was good.
No doubt. Good to see the human side, and you also had some fun out there, so that's good. And shout out to Lady Sov as well.
And, she laughed at that. She was like, "Oh, they called me Lady Sov. Okay, I like that."
She's Lady Sov.
Yep, Lady Sov.
Absolutely. And of course, the excess gamer.
Ooh.
The Lord of Combat Sports, who is a man of his convictions and demands nothing less than the premium experience.
Ooh.
Beloved Lord King, how are we doing, sir?
We're doing fantastic, Anchorman. You know I am war. This is true. Listen, and speaking of war, last night we had some war out here, and my co-host, he knows what I'm talking about. We had some boxing fun, and we had some UFC fun. On a serious note, on the boxing tip, what I like to say to all boxers is every match, every fight, you have to fight it like it's your last fight. You don't take a safe fight. You make a fight. You take a fight that is epic for you. And in this case last night, you had a proven veteran decided to take a safe bet. And there's no safe bets in boxing. You have Miguel Cotto, Puerto Rican icon, going up against Ali. And let me tell you something. Ali he's nice. He has a nice little amateur record. He's a New York bred fighter. He's not all that well known. All right. So everybody going in thought he was a lame duck. Well, Ali didn't think so. Ali challenged himself last night, while Cotto didn't challenge himself, and he fought down to the level of competition. And what we saw was an icon getting his head beat around the ring.
Oh no, Cotto got
No, Cotto looked every bit of 37 years old, while that young buck was over him like a rainstorm. He was all over him. He was hitting him with shots and thunderous blows.
Oh no!
There were some flashes, small flashes, but nothing sustained.
Very few and far between for the Puerto Rican icon. Miguel, go away, don't come back. The sport does not want you. You do not get the cherry pick. The reason why, because he doesn't get the cherry pick on the way out. You're not Floyd. Floyd starts a trend. People think, oh, I can cherry pick too. No, you cannot. I challenge any one of you guys to run in there with Conor McGregor. You're gonna get stretched. You will get stretched, my friend. And everybody thinks, oh, Floyd picked the easy fight. Yeah, he picked the easy fight. Anybody got hit with that Conor McGregor uppercut, they're gonna go to sleep, brother. And also, UFC had a wonderful card last night.
Oh my lord!
I really got to give this over to Lord Cognito, because he's going to do it justice.
Yeah, it's good card, man. I mean, I'll be completely honest with you guys. What's up, B Money in the chat and everybody? Yeah, it was a good card overall. I was just concerned about the main event, the co-main event, and obviously we had Jose Aldo versus the former champ versus Max Holloway, the current champ, fought for. But yeah, it may be time for Jose to reconsider what he want to do, because Holiday, yeah, Sav, you saw it, right?
Oh yeah, I saw it. It was like I said, I think Jose may still have something for some of the lesser guys in the division, but if you're hunting for titles, you need to rethink what you're going to be doing, because Holloway is just on another level. He's not there anymore.
It just feels like he's not. Aldo's at a point. I honestly think it's the Conor McGregor joint. Like after he got
never been the same. Never been the same.
Yeah, ever since.
Oh, you get knocked out in like 13 seconds. Let's see how you feel later.
True. And then the main event.
Oh God!
Boy. Which was the young, hungry, up and coming Francis. I can never pronounce his last name.
Ngannou.
Yeah, versus Overeem, the veteran, the seasoned veteran.
Alistair Overeem.
The Reem. And that boy, like, put it this way, I've never seen a knockout so vicious that after the knockout, when somebody stops moving, that you're concerned if this person is alive. I was concerned for Alistair Overeem. I'm like, yo, is this a fatality?
Yeah, I have to say this. I am guilty of loving Alistair Overeem.
Oh no, I love Alistair. Me too.
But this is the Alistair Overeem I love, the one that's on drugs.
I'm done.
Bring back Drug Overeem. Bring back Drug Overeem. Because let me tell you, this one-hit killer, that Ngannou, yo, he hit him with an uppercut sliding from the left. He ripped his head off his shoulders. It was
it's disgusting. The most vicious. I implore anybody who have not seen this, go to YouTube, do whatever you got to do. Put in the Francis Ngannou versus Alistair Overeem knockout. It is the most vicious, brutalest thing I've ever seen. Let me tell you, Lord Addict, it brought back flashes of like old UFC, and you just like, wow. And this man was stiff, motionless.
I've never seen a head whip back like that in my life.
It was brutal.
He got hit with a lightning bolt in his face.
Yes. And his
I
neck
never saw the
exploded.
neck go back. I never saw the neck go
I've
back.
never
like that in
seen
my
something
life.
like that. Yeah. So I shall employ everyone. Yeah, I think Stipe might want to be on the lookout for his belt right now. He better be concerned. This guy's a young up and coming Francis. It's gonna be a good one if they get the title shot. I think Dana's gonna give it to him. So that was
Yeah, I think he's gonna give it to him.
And Connor's never coming back because Connor's rich and he's running from the mob.
yeah, I heard about that.
Oh my
Shout out to the
God.
mob that got the hit on Conor McGregor. Shout out to them. Oh man, so of course, Lord Cognito here, spreading that gaming realness on the ILP. Not telling you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. So before we get into what the Lords are playing, I want to start off with the young Lord Dolapo, video game system history, and of course, what led him to the creation of the potentially perfect YouTube channel. Lord Dolapo, the floor is yours. Tell us how you got started, man.
So a few months ago, my roommate and we got together. We said, "Hey, what if we made a YouTube channel?" And so we looked at the various, the things we enjoyed. We really sat down about it, and with the thing that we had in common, something we could really do for a long time, was video games. So it's actually funny because before then, neither one of us I would really consider, hardcore gamers. But when you get into this business, when you get into, video game coverage, you end up following the news and you end up caring about this stuff way more than you thought you would. And so it becomes a passion of yours. So, it's the creating the YouTube channel is what I would say made me a hardcore gamer. And so, when we started it, we were like, yo, let's do some instructional videos. And then it turned into, let's make some really funny highlight videos. And then a few weeks ago, I started doing, the editorial type pieces because, I just felt like I had something to say, about certain topics in video gaming and things like that. And it's still in its infancy, and we're still trying to figure out, what exactly, is going to be our groove and everything like that. But it's been such a ride, and I'm having such a blast doing it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about like the first systems you had from a gaming perspective. Like, what was the first console you had?
So the very first console I had was a Game Boy Advance. It was the bright purple indigo looking thing. I loved it. I loved it at Super Mario World.
Nice.
And then after that, it's really funny though, because like I was never going to be a Nintendo kid. Like my mom, like the next console I actually had was a GameCube, and my mom, we talked about getting a PlayStation 2 for like the longest time. She went to Best Buy without me. The guy told her, hey, this is a more kid-friendly console, get him the GameCube. So she brought it home and was like, Mom, the hell?
Shout out to Lord Anchorman in chat. He wants to know, how old is the potentially perfect Dolapo?
Dolapo is 22 years old.
What is with them and people's age?
Lord Anchorman likes
I don't know, man.
that's the young buck stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, he likes to represent the young lions in the gang. So when you got the young dudes doing their thing, he relates to that.
Look at that.
Old and tired.
Okay.
GameCube is Anchorman's first console. Everything's explained now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anchorman's a young buck too. Yeah, Lord Dolapo. I'm sorry. Continue.
No, it's good. It's just it was just been a Nintendo kid, not by choice but by circumstance.
Shout out to Mom.
The GameCube was a good console, though. I like it.
No, it was. I was really confused when I got it.
You could have been unfortunate and was forced to get a Wii U.
I actually bought one. Don't talk shit about it.
Thank you.
That thing's my baby.
I got mine still.
So we went from there to the GameCube. So give me some GameCube games, because I actually like the GameCube. What was some titles that you really enjoyed on it?
Oh man, see, I didn't play any of what the cool kids were playing. I played, what was it, Billy Hatcher, Beautiful Joe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
just the really outskirts stuff. I mean, I had a few of the main titles, Mario Kart, Double Dash, Sunshine, all that stuff. But I really like the niche Capcom games on there.
Nice.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Cool. So then after that, we graduated. What was the next kind of consoles that you kind of graduated to?
Man, I'm telling you, if it was Nintendo, if Nintendo made it, I got it.
Nice.
What was weird though, I had to buy 3 PlayStation 2s because, like I said, that curiosity never went away from me. I always wanted to own that PlayStation 2. I had to buy 3 PlayStation 2s to get one that worked.
Oh, wow.
But I'm telling you right now, you buy one GameCube.
Who was out there that was giving these defective systems?
I don't know. I think it was the Slims though. The Slims never. I don't know. Something's wrong with the Slims. But Yeah.
I guess like Sony shipped like all the broken units to your one location.
It's possible.
Nice. So currently, as we stand right now, are we PS4? Do we have a Switch? What are we working with right now? Currently?
So I just entered my foray into PC gaming, so I'm working on that. But I have the Switch, PlayStation 4.
Nice.
Still banging the Wii U every once in a while because there's no other place like to play like high quality Smash Bros. I don't like that 3DS Smash Bros nonsense.
High quality Smash Brothers.
I respect
Oh,
that.
wait,
I respect-
Switch.
Yeah, Switch one should be coming. Hopefully, man. Didn't they trademark that, right? Didn't they? I
Mm-hmm.
believe there was
Something
a
like that.
trademark. Yeah, so it's definitely coming for 2018. So that's pretty cool. Nice, man. So that's cool. Getting in the game, enjoying it, seeing what you're doing out there, and appreciating it. You know what I mean? So that's always good to see. And real quick before I'll let you go. As far as that your history is concerned, what are your top 5 like gaming franchises, either games or franchises, in your opinion? Because I know you got a top 10 out there, so a little bit of that. So I want you to narrow it to that 5.
Franchises though.
Yeah.
Franchise is a little different. So probably 5 put Uncharted. 4 Legend of Zelda. I'm talking as a whole because they've had some quality issues a few times, but
Yeah.
3 Tomb Raider.
You're Tomb Raider kid. Okay.
Oh
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
What
else you got?
3, I'll put Smash Bros up there. Just because of like the sheer amount of time you spend with your friends, all that good stuff. You know, it's just memories.
Absolutely.
Number 2.
Yeah, got to get tough now. It's getting tough.
I'm gonna put Mario at number 2. It's like Super Mario at number 2.
Okay.
Metroid got to be 1.
Nah, I can't give it to you.
I can't. You got one.
If you say Kirby right now, if you say Kirby,
what you got, Dolapo? What you got, Lord?
Number 1, I'm going to probably give to Pokemon, just because like I have such a history with it. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
My brother was drowning in Pokemon cards for the longest time.
I respect that. I respect that.
It is clearly one of the largest franchises. Period. So I mean, gotta respect the movement over here.
I think it's like on the top 5 of the most profitable franchises in gaming history.
Oh, it has to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Shout out to Lord.
I think what's funny is the top 5 most profitable franchises in history. I think Nintendo owns 3 of them.
It's like 3 of them.
I know, right?
I know, it's crazy.
Hit them likes, guys. Let's do it.
Down. So thanks, shout out to Lord Dolapo for sharing that with us. So we're gonna get into what the Lords are playing. So let's start out with Lord Dolapo. What have you recently been playing? Like what's been going on recently?
Whew, man. See, I have this whole tendency of not finishing games. I don't finish games for nothing. So like I'll start. So I picked up Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 for the Switch.
Yeah,
I'm loving it. Oh my gosh. And I feel so bad that I skipped out on them before. Second one's way better. The voice acting in the first one's garbage, but I had so much fun with that. I'm still messing with Mario. I just picked up Everybody's Golf, as you could see.
Yes, as we saw.
Yeah. Just having a blast with the party game, stuff like that. It's just the multiplayer stuff really clicks with me. So
cool. And shout out to you on the channel for the Resident Evil Revelations. I want to shout out you, and I actually sent that to Kaibatsu as well. He was interested in it. He's a huge Revelations fan, and it was cool to see you play it and kind of put us through his paces, and it looked really good. It looked really good, and it was something. It was a game that I know he was interested. I think even Lord Addict, was interested in those classic Resident Evil. So it's good to see those ports come over to the Switch.
Oh yeah, I love anything like they did a really good job, especially in handheld mode. Because for some reason, some games like on the Switch in handheld mode look like someone smeared a thin layer of Vaseline over the screen.
that would be doom. That would be doom.
Yeah,
I always be forgetting that the Switch has a docked mode.
Yeah. That anti-aliasing Vaseline. No doubt. Cool. So Lord Addict, what have we been playing this week?
Nothing but Final Fantasy X and like a splash of Xenoblade.
Nice. I see you going back to the Final Fantasy. That's
I
dope.
put way too many hours in a Final Fantasy X this week. Like I probably spent 80 hours this week playing Final Fantasy.
Nice.
I saw that Addict had been playing some Bloodborne too. So what are your thoughts on Bloodborne?
Yeah. I watched the video too. So that eye is for real, because he was like, I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna avoid these dudes over here. And he was fighting. I was like, oh man, Addict. I was feeling it for you, baby. I was feeling it for you.
To be honest with you, like, I know I'm only on the 3rd region, but I'm just like, I thought people said this game was hard.
Oh, you're not even challenged.
I mean, there's a difference between being challenged and just having repetitive stuff. Like,
yeah.
It's like, look, like, these games are designed for you not to beat the bosses in the first time, which I almost did.
Mm-hmm.
I had people, like, I ain't gonna lie, I had people in my chat doubting me. They were like, this dude ain't beating this dude on the first go-around. He literally had, like, half an inch of life, and I was so frustrated I couldn't kill him. Because they're like, people in the chat was like, oh, he's gonna do it. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm like that, but then I die.
Oh, God. He said that Lord's out here jumping into JRPGs. Yeah, man, we got love for it, man.
I've been playing JRPGs my whole life. What are you talking about?
But people don't know. He thinks we Destiny guys sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So we're learning. You know, our portfolio's diverse.
I probably put more time into JRPGs than most of these people in this chat.
No doubt.
Debatable. I'm older.
Lord Sov, what have you been playing?
That don't mean nothing.
Yeah, I definitely had that Switch with me when I was on vacation. So
nice.
I'm close to 500 moons in Mario, and I'm at the end. I haven't finished the game yet. I haven't seen credits yet. I don't know how many. Have you guys finished it yet?
I've never seen a game where people are so obsessed with collecting collectibles. Like, I'm just like, look, like, it's not like there's a new cutscene or anything every time you get a moon or.
But the way, I mean, you have a lot of the moons that are just easy, like dumb stuff. You'll just run into it by mistake. But then you get the harder ones, and they're platforming challenges and stuff like that. So it's fun to get them. It's not like it's just, there just for the picking. Like, they have them, and then from what I heard, once you see credits and you go back into the game, there's so much more to do. So much more opens up.
And the game actually has a challenge behind it. Like, the challenge really opens up after the game.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So I'm right at the end, and I'm not going to spoil where I am exactly, but I looked at it and I said, "Oh, this is what they wanted to do with Mario Galaxy." I looked at it and I said, "Oh, damn!"
I got you.
So I've been playing that. I have been playing Resident Evil Revelations 1 on the Switch. I picked it up on the 3DS when it first came out, and I bought the nub and everything, and I was into it for like a week, and then I said, I don't want to replay this like this.
So let me ask you, Lord, is it a combo deal, Lord Dolapo, Lord Sov? Is it?
If you buy the physical copy, it's comboed. If you buy it on the digital eShop, they separate them $20 a piece.
So 20 a piece separate. Okay, and the physical combo is 40.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, you don't even get a physical copy of the second game. It's a download code for the second game.
Download?
Okay, gotcha.
I didn't know that.
Gotcha. Cool. So that's what you've been rocking, Lord Sov.
So that and Xenoblade. Got into that Xenoblade. So we'll talk about that later.
We're going to talk about that later. And Lord King, what has His Majesty been playing? What you been doing?
Boy, this has been a fantastic week for me. So since I'm free of Destiny, I've got a lot of things done. Yeah, I got a lot of things done. I mean, because, I haven't been anybody shouting out inside, the group to play Destiny. So, okay. So me and young Chris have been going at it in Assassin's Creed. I go live on Mixer a lot. So I finished Assassin's Creed. My stat came. Nice. I finished it. I love that game. I played so hard in that game. I'm gonna go back. I have a lot of other things to do. You can finish it and don't see the whole world, so that doesn't even matter that you finished it. It doesn't even matter at all. So I'm going back to do that. But also, I got my Shadow of War. Shadow of War. I can see why Addict was so addicted to this game. And there's a lot of parallels between that and Assassin's Creed. And it's so well done. Agents of Mayhem, I see why they push back Crackdown 3. Agents of Mayhem, if you can get it, I got it at the very low price of $20. It was a great purchase and it's phenomenal. I have to pick up Ark.
I might. You and me both have. Shout out to Lord Dizzy. You may be losing some bets to Lord Dizzy because
what happened?
They fixed all the stuff that I said that was wrong with it. And I've actually been going through playing everything. It's a couple of games that I think that are going to be when y'all talk about end of the year games that I think can actually win it.
Okay.
It's pretty good games. But so far, I've been just going through my Switch Mario. I was at the car shop and I was there all day, and yeah, I was playing Mario and I got a lot of those moons. So yeah, I feel you guys.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, pretty much playing a lot of what the Lord's been playing. For the Xbox, I actually really got far on Wolfenstein 2. Really enjoying it. Oh man, Wolfenstein. There's a part I got to, which is shout out to Lord Anchorman. He told me like that's at a halfway point, and I don't want to spoil it, but they've done something they did something that I'd never seen done with a main protagonist, and I'm like, what's supposed to happen now? Like, all I can say, it's very, very well done. A lot of mature themes, great story, 60 frames per second of goodness, 4K goodness. It's beautiful. It's really hard. That's another thing. The game is really hard. Like I play the game on like the standard difficulty. And
I see one more person say that game's really hard. I swear I'm gonna play it.
Yes, we know, Lord Addict. It may not be hard for you. you excel in them type of stuff. But I will say this, like it makes you think. And what I like is they definitely have the stealth mechanic, so you can really go stealthy if you want. You don't have to play balls to the wall. You can get it in. Really enjoying Wolfenstein. And then for the Switch, I picked up obviously the Xeno. We're gonna talk about that. The Xenoblade Chronicles, enjoying that a little bit, and just kind of messing with my Switch backlog. I think on Black Friday I took advantage of a lot of sales. They had don't laugh, I actually picked up Monopoly for the Switch. Yeah, they had a sale on the Joy-Cons.
Perfect place for it.
That seems like a place to play that at.
They had the sale on the Joy-Con.
Oh, this guy's out of control. This guy's anything Switch. Here's a hot turn.
Hold on.
It's on Switch. He's got to buy it.
I gotta address something in the comments section.
Uh-oh.
What do you mean, Kaibatsu, about Cuphead? I beat that.
Ooh.
Like I'm confused by
Kaibatsu trying to challenge you on your
that's
difficult
just
games.
going over my head, man. It's going over my head.
Shout out to Lord Fastback in the chat for coming through. Yeah, I mean, it was just one of them things. It's like on the road, I figured I needed 2 extra Joy-Cons, and I was like, hey, Monopoly, so like $10. Let's go. So I picked that up. So that was it. So yeah, man, that was pretty much it as far as the games this week. So we're gonna get into the poll. Last week's ILP poll results are in. People have spoken to the question: with the rise of social media, Twitter, Reddit, etc., bringing more attention to gaming industry practices and giving more direct access to execs, is this good for gaming as a whole? The winner at 55% in a very argumentative 3-way poll. Shout out to Lord Dolapo. He was in that one.
Oh, I was.
Is the yes, expose bad practices and execs group. So they won at 55. It's coming in at second place at 25%. Was the no, the issues and personal attacks are way too overblown group. And coming in at third place, the very shallow 20%. I don't care. I just want a game group.
There we go.
Yeah, but
shout out to all who participated in the poll. The turnout was lit, especially Dolapo. Shout out to Lloyd Kaibatsu was in there. Y'all was lit in there. So Dolapo, talk to me.
Speaking of Kaibatsu, I need pictures of everything from now on. You play Kaibatsu is on the hardest difficulty you could play it on.
I'm saying like gaming challenges.
I want to see a head to head.
Kaibatsu's a beast.
You can't be sitting there. You can't be sitting there. You can't be sitting there coming at me saying, "Oh, because I didn't play it on the hardest difficulty." Don't count. Name one game that you have played besides Cuphead that's been on the hardest difficulty every time you play a new game. I don't want to see any game you play that's not on the hardest difficulty from now on.
That sounds like a challenge. You might have to stream that.
Yeah. Oh man.
No, it's not a challenge. It's to play everything on hard or get off my back.
I'm definitely not going to touch your back, sir.
So, Lord Dolapo, I saw you was very intense on that particular poll. So obviously the group that loves these guys being exposed on social media and the execs and stuff, that was the winner. Which way did you lean towards that poll?
Oh, call him out. Call him out.
I got you. No doubt, no doubt. And shout out to Kaibatsu. He was making a point, I think, in reference to he understands the call out. He just didn't like the personal attack culture of, you know, with the execs and stuff like that. So I understood what he was coming from, you know what I'm saying, in that respect. So it was good banter, good discussion.
I'm like, look, I'm not about attacking people, but at the same time, like, this is the most I've seen. Like, EA is burning from all grounds this week. Like, I'm hearing they're getting a lot of feedback, a lot of backlash from UFC now.
Yeah, I heard his loot boxes.
And it's like, it's at the end of the day, like, EA is probably one of the most greedy companies when it comes to gaming. I'm really starting to think that people getting fired, like, because I know this is the kind, like, it was like what, $2.3 billion dropped in stock.
Yeah, it's bad.
Like,
it's bad for them.
This is the kind of backlash that will completely change a company's motives.
They thought they could get away with it without trying to hide it better.
And what's funny,
what's
funny is if Battlefront wouldn't have been the way it was, I feel like no one would be saying anything about, you know, their other games, but Battlefront was so bad. Now it's like any game with loot boxes, we burn you.
The spotlight is on, and we're gonna get into that when we get into the what you call the topics, with especially with Destiny as well.
A witch hunt going on out here.
Yeah, it's like whatever you're doing in your game now, the spotlight is on.
They should have never took a step back. That step back hurt them, and in the aspect that anything that people don't like, they're gonna like rally against it, and they're gonna expect them to take that same step back. And that's why you're never supposed to take a step back. If you stay firm in your beliefs, just stay firm in your beliefs and just let it rock out.
Yeah, they still would have made money. But now everything they do is being
is getting scrutinized and looked through the hourglass. So we're gonna get into these topics for the round table. We got a lot to discuss, so I'm gonna set it off first and let's talk about PUBG back in the news once again. So it's brought to our attention, I think it was like Thursday. I think Brendan Green from Bluehole Studio, he came out with an announcement, and they asked him about, you know, what the expectations were for the Xbox One X, and at that time he made a statement. He was like, directly on Xbox One X, 60 frames per second. He said the game would definitely hit that target. And he said last time on the Xbox One S standard base model, he said he saw it running about 30 to 40. He said they're constantly improving it. The aim was to get it to 60. So when that announcement went out, you know, surely a lot of the Xbox fan base and people who have Xbox One X were really praising it. They were excited about the potential for PUBG to be 60 frames per second. And then the very next day, our good friend, Brendan Green, shout out to Player Unknown, he came out with a Twitter statement, and he just said while he previously stated PUBG would run at a higher frames per second on the Xbox One X, he said he wants to clarify that they will run at 30 frames per second across all Xbox One devices. He says we're constantly refining the game, exploring options to increase frames per second, but this early in development, we're unable to confirm more. Now, this tweet set the net on fire. And I want to bring this to the Lords because right now there's two thoughts going on right now. One is that is the Xbox One X being held back for the sake of parity, right?
It is.
And number one, and two, is it a legitimate thing that they could do it and maybe PR got a hold of him because it was such a quick turnaround? So I'm gonna pass this to the Lords. I want to get Dolapo and then Addict in there because I'm curious about you two first. I think I know where Sovereign King's going. I'm curious about Dolapo and Lord Addict. So Dolapo, what do you feel, sir?
It's the base Xbox One is not holding it back. Microsoft is holding it back. And the idea, like, I always like to relate it to the new 3DS and the regular 3DS. Nintendo tried it. Nintendo said, hey, we're going to make sure it runs all the games and everything like that, but we're going to give exclusive content, things like that. Games will run better, whatever. It's a company-based decision. Xbox wants everything to run, across all the same, stat-wise across everything, in parity, and that's a decision they made. They didn't have to do it. Personally, I think just let it go. Just let the Xbox One X, dominate the shit that it does well. I don't think you should be trying to make it so that everything runs the same. You guys paid $500 for a console, to get the best out of games. Give them the best out of those games. That's not right. I think that's horrible.
Now let me ask you this question in reference to parity. Do you feel, because let's just say ideally it could run it, right? And let's just say because of marketing or what have you, they said no, make him retract the statement or whatever. Do you think it's unfair from a competitive multiplayer shooter, that one should have a 60 frames per second advantage versus the 30 frames per second? Or you feel like, hey, if the people who bought the Xbox One X paid for that, then they should get the higher frame rate?
People do it on PC all the time. These companies, these companies are sitting there trying to talk about, we want it to be fair. Are you kidding me? With every one of these consoles, they're doing more and more to make it more and more like PCs every single day. You're giving us less reasons to even own consoles anymore. It used to be you could pop in a disc, you just play the game. You can't even do that anymore. That used to be one of the biggest advantages of owning a console. So now you're telling me that I'm going to buy this iterative console, I'm going to pay for it, and it's supposed to be the substantial upgrade, but I still got to play by the rules of the base one? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Lord Addict, I need you in on this. I'm very curious.
Well, I'm completely on the other side.
Woo, let's go.
I think that, look, at the end of the day, like, look, you buy this console, first off, everyone and everyone's mom told everyone that stuff like this would happen, so people need to stop acting surprised. Second off, regardless of what people think, we do have certain advantages that's on, that's on the consoles that you can have just by buying like the Elite controller. But at the end of the day, it's like people's performance is the same, and that is the biggest advantage you can have on PC. And you can ask a lot of people on PC, sometimes it's out of hand. An extra 30 frames between both in multiplayer, competing against both, that's significant.
Sounds kind of salty, brother.
How is that salty? Explain.
I'm going to explain right now, bro. Sounds like you're coming from that I don't got that extra power salt.
So hold up.
Wait. Are you pushing an X, brother?
So because I don't have an X, I can't have an opinion. Is that what you're saying?
No, I ain't say that.
No, that's exactly what you're saying.
I know I did not say that. I said your opinion is salty and tasteless. That's what I said.
So hold on. Everyone that does not have an X, can I have an opinion? Because you're
I said I love that
exactly
opinion.
What you said.
I love that opinion because you're giving me another opinion that I don't have. I love that.
You said that since I don't have an X, I'm automatically deemed salty. That's what you're saying. You can't have an opinion.
It kind of came off as salty, brother.
No, it's not. Like, why do you think the pros been doing it? Like, you don't.
I don't care what the pros do. We talk about this right here, though.
I mean, it's whatever. Like, you can sit here and sit there. Like, how many of the fractions have an X compared to the other? Like,
I don't know about those.
Definitely the lowest.
You guess.
We know that it's a bigger install base. What I'm saying is, like, I hear where you're coming from, and you're coming from the point of what you have. I understand that. That's what I'm saying. Of course you have a voice. Actually, your voice base is larger than mine.
That's true. That's true. He represents the people with the X represent the majority.
I'm not attacking you.
When it comes down to it, Microsoft is not going to give unfair advantages. It's just no. I get it. Maybe they could make lobbies with just X versus X.
Yeah, they should have an X room.
They need to have
that's interesting. That's funny. That's it. That's
where the big boys play.
At the end of the day, like
shallow pool, deep pool.
You do these 1v1s in some of these games. You're going to turn an extremely good player from the on the S is going to get outshot from someone on the X because he can't keep up with the performance of the other console.
No, I hear you. I mean, go ahead, Dolapo. I see you want to jump in.
We're talking about these, decisions that Microsoft has made to increase parity, but haven't they been talking about adding like mouse and keyboard functionality to this?
I mean, they could talk all they want, but look at games like Gears. Gears has, it's got mouse and keyboard versus but it's not ranked. They got social playlists, and like at the end of the day, it's like, look, like games like Gears of War, it's third person, so it's a little bit different. But this PUBG's third person, so at the end of the day, it's like, look, some of these companies might have a slight advantage, But that's not 30 frames to 60 frames. That's extreme advantage. That's not a little bit.
No,
but
I
they
hear
said
you.
that you can squeeze out an extra 10 frames on yours.
So my question to you then, Lord Addict, is do you feel if for the Xbox One X owners, let's just say it could theoretically hit 60, right? And now it's being pushed down to 30 frames per second. Do you feel that's you feel that doesn't matter because you want competitive parity with the S and the X?
That's all I care about is competitive parity, especially something like that. Like if we were talking about Skyrim, ooh, like like that wouldn't matter to me. But we talking about something that you're wanting both people from every console to play against each other. Almost every 1v1 scenario you have with someone on the S to someone on the X, the X version is going to have extreme advantages over them because they're loading 30 frames faster.
Interesting. This is hot, man.
I mean, you got people like Lord King David say that I load into Destiny faster than everyone else, and now like that's the same scenario.
You're not liking that kind of talk.
No, it's not
You parachuting into the world like a Fortnite.
It's not that. At the end of the day, that is an extreme advantage. That's nothing small. Like that's extreme. And at the end of the day, they're still going to be selling more S's than X's. So why? That's pretty much like if you don't have an X, don't play player no battleground, because first off, the game is already a hardcore game. So if you're going into this hardcore game on an S when half the lobby's an X, it's an automatic L.
Shout out to Lord Kaibatsu in the chat. He's saying because the Xbox One X is kind of mirroring kind of a PC, mindset, that the PC guys have never complained when they have the same situation where some rigs are only capable of doing 30 frames per second versus 60 frames per second.
That's because they're used to that. They were bred into that.
We got to get y'all used to this. You're gonna have to buck up and get in that room with the big boys.
The problem with that is that the PC has always been the Wild West, and it will always be the Wild West. You're talking about closed with the Xbox and the PlayStation. The mindset of the player is completely different. Like, and this is the thing, like Microsoft has always been known for innovating and pushing things where people didn't think they should go in the console space. The hard drive in the Xbox, the Ethernet port on the Xbox. If they were the first ones to really take this step into saying, we're going to give you a substantially more powerful iterative console, then you know what? They have to take that extra step and make those lobbies that are only for 60 frames per second.
Shout out to Colbert in the chat. He just said that. He said dedicated rooms for Xbox One X, just like
do it
for hardcore versus.
At the end of the day, it's like, you guys, I bought this product, this and that, but how much do you think that's going to hurt the overall, franchise of PUBG? It's like some people won't even buy it because they know they can't compete with the other platform now.
But why don't they just buy the other platform then?
It's easier to tell someone to buy a $30 game than a $500 console.
I understand that point.
You can't penalize people because they don't want to buy it. Like, that's crazy.
I love this. This is good. Let's get in there. And I know, King, I got you. I got you on the end.
I know.
It's like I said. Like, I'm of the mind. If I pay $500 for a substantially more powerful console, I want to see it utilized. Now, in single player games thus far, when we talk about Assassin's Creed, we talk about Mordor, Shadow of War, like it doesn't matter because it's mostly a single player game. You're not going to really be affecting anybody with what you do in the game. You can see the substantial differences. It's always been the issue with these living open world, like the Destinies, the online multiplayer games, where that parity becomes an issue, right? And like I said, like for me, Microsoft needs to take that extra step, and as close as they're trying to make the consoles with these iterative consoles, as close as they're trying to make it to PC, it's still never going to be exactly the same. So you have to take that step and create an environment where both people who own both consoles get the premium experience for that console. It's an extra step you have to take, but you know what? Console gaming has always been about doing things that it's away from the norm of PC gaming. It's just different. They have to do it, and are you going to be separating players to a certain extent? Yeah, but you have to give the option. Like if I'm on an X and I should be given the option to play in that 60 frames per second lobby or that 30 frames per second lobby. My friends are playing the 30 frames. I'll go play with them for a little bit and then I'll come back to this one. Like it's something that needs to be created, period. Because then you're going to start devaluing what your X can do.
And I find it hard to believe. I see Kaibatsu in the chat, like pretty much had that copy and paste shit going on. Like I find it hard to believe that it's not an issue on PC. Like look how many people go to PC and come back because they can't mess with the combination of mouse and keyboard over from controller and stuff like that. Dude, performance on PC is an issue.
But what he means, right? But what he means is that it's so widespread and there's so much variety in terms of graphics cards and setups. Like it's so big that you can't really complain. Who's gonna listen to you? Like nobody's gonna listen to you.
But that's my point. You can't say there's not an issue on PC just because of the forums that you look at. Like, oh, isn't that the thing you get onto me, Kaibatsu? Like, oh, it's some of my friends, so it isn't facts. Like, well,
I don't think there's a viable way to address it. Honestly,
there's not. Yeah, and why are you in the chat saying I'm salty, King? I need to hear this. No, I need to hear this.
He stopped talking and started typing it.
He had to throw his shot. Lord King, you up, baby? Go ahead, let's go.
Sounds like a little bit of Saltyville. It's not about you, bro. I mean, that S is cute. It's cute.
So it's not about me, but it's about the majority over the minority. You're the minority. You know that, right?
Thank you. I
left the odd player base. It's not about the player base.
What's crazy is I left the majority to go and become the minority.
So stop bitching when they go to the majority.
I'm just hearing you bitching. Because it's like all these little majority guys got on the internet. It was like, excuse me. You're giving them 60 frames. Why are you giving them 60 frames? Like, listen. They said that you can get out 40 in yours. All right. Be happy with that 1080 40. And then, see if y'all can mix it up. Y'all could probably get in there and mix it up and do really well. I don't really think, and that's especially
who hasn't played PUBG.
Exactly, I haven't. So what? I got a rig that can play it though.
Then why haven't you?
Because I don't listen.
Why haven't you?
The thing is this, right? The thing is, when I play my games, I don't really like that silent crap. The reason why you don't see me on that PlayStation, and I see you on, and you tell me you're gonna jump on and stuff like that. You know why my PlayStation don't turn on? Because it'd just be me and you in a room. I don't have a bunch of friends on PlayStation. But when I'm playing my Xbox, I'm playing with my friends. I have all of this. I have everything. That's not the question. The question is, where do I want to play PUBG? I want to play it on my Xbox. How do I want to play PUBG? I want to play it to the maximum of my brand new shiny Ferrari. I do not need a Volvo holding me back. I want to be in the fast lane. So these Volvo drivers is over here telling me to slow down. Excuse me, bro. If you can't keep up, either get a Ferrari or just stay in your lane. Simple.
So you can't have that mindset because everyone's buying Ferraris.
Why I can't have that mindset and you got your mindset? Why are you always trying to change everybody else's mindset? I'm not EA. I'm not going to backtrack. I'm going to stay exactly where I am right now. These loot crates is going to stay right here. Anyway, like I was saying, listen. They're going to do something. And I wish it just comes out in 60 frames per second. I wish it just comes out in 60 frames and they just say deal with it. And and you gotta get in there and you gotta mix it up.
Run it at 500p on the S. That's all.
No, listen, that type of game, I honestly don't think the 60 frames to 30 frames is going to be that much of a problem.
Because that FPS fast twitch kind of a deal.
Right. It's a slow pace, let's work it out type of game. Now, if it was like a Call of Duty game, and they was telling you, they was telling you that, yo, listen, you playing Call of Duty at 30 frames versus a 60 frame? No. That's evil. That's like
so, okay. So your differentiator then is FPS versus the third person. With third person, you're saying, look, and actually, I believe Brendan Green said the same comment you made, where he said because he doesn't feel it was fast twitch with the 60 frame, that it shouldn't be as much of a difference. But now you're saying like in a COD environment.
Then, that's
okay.
I mean, but even third person also, because if you talk about like Gears 30 versus 60 is the same thing because it's a faster paced game. It's just the nature of this game is about sneaking around, surviving, popping a shot, running, hiding, scavenging.
What kills me is this is the same group of people who was saying, oh, Destiny 2 plays so much better, it feels so much better on PC. But when it comes to another scenario, it's like 60's not a big deal. Get out of here with that shit.
You're talking about a first person fast switch game.
First person.
Versus 30 frames is relevant regardless what kind of gameplay.
Absolutely. We're definitely not trying to minimize it. Now, let me jump in because this is fun. This one was really interesting because like I'm peeping it and I'm like, okay, I see where the community is coming from. I see that the majority is the S users. They have 30 frames per second. Like if that's what it's going to be maxed out. Let's just say ideally it couldn't hit 60. I can understand from a competitive standpoint, yes, they would be at a disadvantage. Then I'm thinking, okay, for the X guys that plunk down the Clash and you want the best possible experience on your system, if your system can actually do it, if the Xbox One X could do 60, then it is kind of foul to say we're not going to maximize the potential of the hardware. And it brought me back because I was doing some research on a good friend. Shout out to Mikey Barr, listen to the show. May 19th, he put out a tweet. And this was, I believe, around the whole Destiny 2 speculation. Remember at that time, nobody knew it was going to run or whatever. So remember at the time, everybody was like, yo, they're going to hold it back, the Xbox One X. That's when people thought the Xbox One X could do 4K 60 on Destiny 2, right? And they were like, yo, could it hold back? And he put out a tweet and he said, developers are free to choose how they use the power of the Scorpio for games. It says, we have no requirements limiting frame rate or fidelity, right? So then a person on Twitter responded to him. So he was like, but what about FPS parity between Xbox One and Scorpio? He said, which means a 2013 console is going to hold a 2017 console back. Mike Ibarra immediately tweeted. He said, no, there isn't. This is up to the developer to choose for the games they want to do.
I've never bought that.
Right. So based on what Mike Ibarra was saying back then, and I remember I hit him in the DM and I was like, yo, that was a powerful tweet because a lot of people thought that because of competitive parity, they would never make the Xbox One X version of a FPS more frames per second. But it's on record. I have it here, y'all. May 19th, go through Mikey Barra's timeline. May 19th, 6:41 p.m. I did my research. You know what I'm saying? Check it out. It's the platform leader Xbox saying that they will not hold back the Scorpio on frames per second. So they didn't care about the competitive.
You know what would be even more funny? Mm-hmm. To go back every time an executive Microsoft said something that they went back on. Let's take a shot.
No, but that's Shannon Loftus, not Mikey Barra. Mikey Barra, he's not going back. Mikey Barra has not gone back on anything he said. Now, Shannon Loftus, I can't comment on her. She's been in the fire for a minute. She's been saying a lot of stuff. She got in trouble with Ryan McCaffrey. You know what I'm saying? So I can't comment on her. I can comment on my boy that I met, that I know, the platform lead. I got it. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, I hear both sides. I hear Addict. I hear where you're coming from. King, I hear where you're coming from. Dolapo, everybody hear where you're coming from. The short-term fix probably would be what you guys are saying. And shout out to the chat is lit, y'all. Shout out to the chat. Like the short-term fix.
Going in.
Yeah, they're going in. It would be definitely the lobbies. Now, the argument for the lobbies, against the lobbies, would be why divide the player base? Now, I want to bring that back to you. So let's just say Xbox One X comes out with the full version, 60 frames per second. S 30 frames per second. Let's just say they have a competitive 60 frames per second lobby that gives the Xbox One S guys the option to log in with almost like a warning disclaimer, like if you jump in there,
60,
you know what you're gonna get.
You're gonna get the full 60.
Would you be okay with that?
I really don't care, to be honest with you.
Don't give me that don't care. You passionate just 5 minutes ago.
No, I mean, I'm giving my opinion on something. Don't mean I care about it.
But my question is, would you be okay with it? Would you be okay with it?
What, just having separate lobbies?
Yeah, like for S versus X users. If they want to opt in, they can do it. If not, I
feel like there would be problems with the amount of people in the pool.
Well, that's a valid point.
Might be a couple hundred people on the X and a couple thousand people on the S.
Let them do it.
Times late at night, you might have enough to fill 2 lobbies.
Now, here's the thing. We would assume, again, I'm assuming that I could be completely wrong. What about Sov, help me out on this. Is it a potential for a Windows Play Anywhere game, PUBG?
PUBG at this point, I mean, they haven't talked about it. If that were the case, they would have said it already.
I remember them saying that there's something that they wanted to pursue, that they wanted.
Now, yeah, I don't know if that would be something that they would pursue.
Because that's on Steam, though. It's on Steam, right?
Okay,
it's on Steam now. There's no Windows. There's no Windows Store version of it per se. And if they were to pursue that, I would think it's when the game is at 1.0 on consoles.
All I know is if they port over the X version and the S version onto the Windows 10 that runs better on Steam, they might steal some Steam users.
No, let me ask you.
The game runs like really bad on PC.
Let me ask the Lord this. I want to bring it to Dolapo for this. All right, with this statement from Brandon Great, right? Like, I want to get into the logic. I want to get into the culture, why this happened, right? Now, when he released this statement, what do you think, Lord Dolapo? Do you think it was one of those things where the PR team said, "Whoa, don't you say that 60 frames per second"? Like, what do you think happened internally?
What exactly did the original statement say?
All right, I got it right here. I got it. All right, so he came out, and your man was like, PUBG, they spoke to him. This is WC Tech argument. And the man said, look, they asked him about, the Xbox One X version. He said the team is pushing for 60. He said, definitely 60 frames per second on the Xbox One. The man said definitely. He said on Xbox One S, we're not sure. We may have to limit it to 30 frames per second, maybe, but the last time I saw it, it was running at between 30 to 40. He said we're constantly improving and tuning. So he said the aim is to get to 60. So one day, Addict, this man, he definitively said the Xbox One X can do 60 frames per second. And then the next day, I misspoke. I previously stated higher frames per second on the Xbox. He said, then listen to his statement though. He goes, I want to clarify that PUBG will run at 30 frames per second across all Xbox One devices. We're constantly refining the game, exploring options to increase frames per second. But this early in the dev, we're unable to confirm more. So do you think this is just PR speak that Xbox One X can do it? And maybe they may wait until like the final release version to kind of slip that in the back door? Like, Lord Dolapo, where are we at with this? Let's go. Let's get to the inners.
I don't know exactly what's going on in his head. Maybe he was just stating that they have it at 16. He wasn't really referring to the final release of the game.
He said they got it definitely at 60 right now.
That looks bad. That's damage control if I've ever seen it. This is the thing.
This is the man who created. He created the game. He should know.
Yeah,
he should know. So the thing about it is, and this goes.
Maybe they should take his Twitter from him. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys. Like,
it's all PR, because the thing about it is, as passionate as I am about getting the maximum experience from my console, it's not what they promised. They promised parity across all consoles in relation to this. They said it when they started talking about the iterative console. So they promised. So it's like, once again, Microsoft, they jumped the gun a little bit, promising certain things that when things start to play out, they realized probably wasn't the smartest thing to do.
But here's the thing, Solve. The messaging is still bad, because if they're saying that you're going to be able to play it across all devices, right? We're getting uniformity. But then you got guys like Ibarra who's saying that we are not holding the Scorpio back. We're not holding the X back. So they do it.
No one wants to take blame.
It's a Microsoft problem. They've had this problem forever.
I think when it comes to the Mike Ibarra thing, it goes around the time the Destiny2 fiasco, wasn't it?
Yes, that was. I got the tweet. It was May 19th.
Let's cut that tweet for what it was. It was taking advantage of that whole situation and trying to get put up on top of the mention.
He put 4 series of tweets. And truth be told, I'm gonna keep it 100, y'all. I got some inside baseball. I speak to Mikey Barr sometime, and I hit him directly. And I was like, "Yo, bro, that was a powerful tweet." You know what I'm saying? And he just hit me back, kind of like smiley face, like they basically confirming, like, "Yo, they're not gonna hold it back." So again, that's inside baseball, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, for him to say that definitively
Well,
during
he
that
said it,
storm.
and he knew exactly what was going to happen. Like he didn't know that the backlash would be as how it is. Okay,
Right.
and they told him, listen, we don't need any negative press going into this game. All right. So remember, this is Microsoft's little baby that they're holding and they're rocking it, and they're doing anything with it, and they want this game to release into this beta form, and at the end of the month they're going to release it into the wild after they work out the kinks. They just want to make sure it works perfectly going through.
Absolutely.
So all right, he doesn't want any controversy. You know when the controversy is going to kick? When that Digital Foundry comes out that Tuesday after the game comes out, and you guys, because y'all going to be talking about, oh my god, it's so great, it's so fantastic, we have such a good time, and you're going to realize that you was at 30 frames and we was at 60. So Digital Foundry, shout out to Digital Foundry, my man Ledbetter, get on that case when the game come out.
They say they have the game running 30 to 40, didn't they? On the S
30
version?
to 40 on the S.
The S. Well, no, are we talking about a consistent 30 to 40?
Yeah.
About that's the best time they can get?
He said consistent 30 to 40.
I mean, we have the devs saying
that they even trying to push 60 on the S.
We have devs always saying that they have a 60 frame game and it dips to 30, 40 frames all the time in the game.
Lord Addict, I'm going to ask you a question. Would you take a 900p 60 frames per second PUBG?
What?
Would you take a 900p 60 frames per second? Player unknown. Would you take it?
I mean, as long as I could play the game, I don't care. Like, I wasn't one of the people that had the pitchforks talking about 1080p's the end all be all thing. Like,
so you heard it here. 900p 60 for you S's. Let's go.
But they're not going to do that.
Why not?
Do it. Why not? You want that 60? If for you to get 60, it's 900p.
I'm a Nintendo gamer. 900p is nothing to say.
Right, let's do it.
They're not going to do it because
600p been popping on that Switch.
Here's the thing. Like, okay, sure, they might do that for like a but think about the comparisons. Like, I guess you guys have this all been said that they only want to sell X's. If you can start comparing 700p to whatever they have on the X, that's gonna make the S look significantly weaker, and then they're gonna drop down on S sales. People, I guarantee
the S is weaker, and don't they want to sell the X?
It doesn't matter. They still have that they still got to sell it. Like,
right, but at the end of the day, they just dropped a new system that don't they want to sell more?
Here's
This is
the
the
thing.
new
Have
console?
a system for your budget. And we have that system, and we have this one.
We're not talking about.
Let Addict go. Go ahead.
Like, why do you think they haven't compared Xbox One to Xbox One X games? They don't have one comparison on their channel comparing the both.
Wait, comparing. Wait, I'm confused. What's the question?
Comparing S games and X games. They have one video comparing
who is they? Who is
Xbox.
Well,
why would they want to compare?
Because they don't want to make one look worse than the other.
Right, because it's a family of systems, right? They're
trying to sell both. They're not trying to sell one over the other.
Digital Foundry does, though.
Well, that's because that's a third-party platform that does it regardless of their permission.
Right.
I'm just confused to your point. I'm trying to get.
The point is that they're not. I mean, it's not my fault.
You're saying that if they could only, let's say they can get it 900p or 1080p.
Okay, let's say
rather go with that.
Let's say that. I don't care what
that.
I'd rather go with. I'm saying what Microsoft is thinking. You have the X version of 1440p. Let's say the minimum it's 1440p. Then you got the 900p version. Now you have all these comparisons going. People thinking that the S is so significantly weaker, they start jumping to the Pro because it's cheaper.
But here's the thing. Don't you think Microsoft wants to sell the X? This is a new platform.
But Phil Spencer has said multiple times he knows he's going to sell more S's than X's.
Right, but here's the thing. It's a new system, right? And he's saying that his mantra with this system, this is for the premium experience. This is the hardcore gamer, right? Okay, so if you're promoting this system, almost think of it as an elite controller, right? The elite controller has significant advantages over a standard controller. Right, you got the paddles, you can map things, you can do all these things. So why would they not want to sell that premium device if it can do these things? That's the only thing I'm confused about.
It's not trying not to sell the X, but they're not going to do stuff to hurt the S to sell the X. That makes
okay.
No
So
sense.
your thing is perception from damaging the base. Your thing is like you don't want them. You think that they're gonna do everything in their power because the S is the majority.
They're going to keep
not
them
to damage
on
that
the playing
base.
field because they don't want to hurt the S sales trying to promote the X when the X is going to sell less than the S.
And
I tell you this: if the S,
Shout out to
if
Cobell
the S,
entitlement generation. Why is their system better? Because they paid more. Wow.
I tell you this: if they can get the S running at 60 frames per second, whatever that resolution is, you run it at that resolution. You don't say, okay, I'd rather run it closer to 1080p, but it has to be 30 frames per second so that it doesn't look as bad next to the X. No, wherever you can get that S running at 60 frames per second, that's where you put it if you can get it done. And that way, there's not an issue with the X. The X is always going to be more powerful. It's always going to destroy it no matter what.
But I just
you gotta understand. You gotta
But
understand.
did you guys
regardless of what they say, regardless of what they say in terms of PR, if the conversation becomes that the X becomes more popular because of these things, they would rather sell you an X than an S.
Mm-hmm.
They're happy to sell you an S.
Nothing.
They would rather
Even though
sell you
S
an X.
is, they would rather sell you an X because they want to build that base. This is their new console. You want to sell that console, regardless if the
they're
S is
not
the
trying to
majority.
put all their eggs in one basket.
But that's
they
not
wanna
Bluehole's
sell
job.
it. That's their job. They're gonna put out a console and say, we can put this out, but we don't want to sell this.
But they're still selling the X's. They're not abandoning the
They're not gonna. But
platform.
here's the reality, Addict, that you don't see. At the end of the day, with console, let me finish. At the end of the day, with any type of new console, it's only a matter of time before they do start to slowly phase out the said old console. That's just how gaming consoles work. I mean, as long as I've seen it, even if you have an upgrade, they can sit there and say, yeah, we're going to play nice with the ecosystem and all the systems. Eventually, we're going to see situations like this, and it's happening so early right now, right? Where it's like the X version can do this, the S version can do that. You know what I'm saying? Right. And eventually, I agree. Shout out to Richard Review Tech. I eventually think maybe it may not be a year from now, maybe it'll be 2 years from now. We are going to see X only games. I'm convinced. At some point, there's going to be a period where the S is not going to be able to run it. Certain things. It's just facts. That's just how technology works. And then what's going to happen? There's going to be a base that's going to. It's the same thing with the Kinect. Eventually, they phased out the Kinect. You know what I'm saying? They're going to phase it out at some point if the X continues on a upward trajectory. That's just my opinion, though.
I mean, we're talking a couple years down the line, though.
Absolutely.
We're not talking right here, right now.
Absolutely.
That came out a month ago.
Absolutely. I agree with you. It's going to be interesting. This was a hot one.
What happens if they don't, though? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's this whole situation. Like, I keep bringing up Nintendo. They're still pushing 2DSs. They got the new 3DS. It's been out for a long time. They're still trying to push the 2DS. So it's that whole thing of still trying to sell that base console. I don't know that it's a definite that they're going to be.
No, you may be right. I mean, here, this is the thing, Lord Dolapo. You made some great points. The thing is, we're in this weird space where we have iterative consoles that are kind of mimicking the PC. Now, your point with Nintendo is interesting too, because, and this is kind of defending Lord Addict's point, because Nintendo's in a unique situation, like with the DS and stuff. That thing is so damn popular. That base is so huge. You can't abandon that base. And that's where Lord Addict's argument is valid, that the S base is the strength of the Xbox, right? You know, and you can't completely throw them away yet because this is the majority. But at the end of the day, I also feel like, hey, they're in the business of selling consoles. They have a new one out. They're gonna try to slyly. They're gonna play nice, like I feel in the beginning. The first 2 years, oh yeah, you can do it. I feel
like by the time that happens, I feel like Sony's gonna drop their PS5. And we're already going to be talking about new consoles. I think by the time that happens, we're going to be on the next gen before they start doing stuff like that.
No, it's definitely possible. I just thought this was great because
I do think there's a great chance that we won't see another mid-gen console refresh, though. Like, especially if the X doesn't break any records, which it's sold well, but what's it going to do now?
I feel you.
It's like the Pro. Like you never see people bragging. You never see Sony bragging about pro sales. So, there's a good chance that after the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, we won't see these again.
It's gonna be interesting.
I think we'll see them again, but they'll be named differently. I think this is the last console in the Xbox One family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
50
think
people in the
next
chat,
one
y'all.
will
Please hit that like, y'all. We in here giving y'all good gaming talk. Hit that like, y'all.
We got 48 of you guys.
Come on now, hit that like. Continue,
Come
so
on.
Yeah, so I think this is probably the last one we see in the Xbox One family, because I know more than likely the next step for PlayStation is 5. So you have to change up the name just for perception's sake. You have to change up the name. So
yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, look, like I don't really talk about resolution. I don't talk about any of that stuff. I played Happy Wars.
Frames, you're passionate. We can see it.
Well, it's not frames. It's just that's my opinion on that's my opinion on the
matter.
And
a lot of people agree with you. Don't get it twisted. Like Twitter was a civil war in the Xbox community. Like it was lit. People were going at each other's throat, and the
part that kills me is you got people that don't even really dabble in PC gaming, and they be sitting there saying frames don't matter, and I'm like, why don't you play a couple more games besides Marvel Heroes? Kaibatsu.
Shout out to Lord Dealer. Shout out to Lord BG. They were going at it, and there was a couple other people going at it, but the argument basically was, we shouldn't, X shouldn't be held back. And then, the argument was versus like, headsets and elite controllers giving competitive advantages and stuff like that. But tune into the poll later this show. It's going to be a good poll today. We're going to revisit this. But shout out to everybody. This was a good one, y'all. So we're going to move on.
Hold on.
What you got?
What's your Steam account, Kaibatsu? We got to see these games you play on Steam that the difference between 30 frames. No, I got to know this. I got to know this drastic knowledge of 30 frames and 60. Put that Steam account in there. I need to see these games. And if you got like 5 games on Steam,
I built PCs, game.
I mean, it don't matter if you built PC, so you built PC, so you play.
Got much
Man,
more
I never see you play PC games. I never see you talk about.
This sound like games. You know what this sound like, King? Like, remember from the Cuphead thing? Remember when Kaibatsu came? We got to get Kaibatsu because these two have been going at it for a minute. Who's the
what we need to do is set up a head-to-head on a hard game. So you can put this to bed, because there's a lot of people out here talking hot mustard and not challenging nobody.
Let's do that. Hold up,
Channel 5 dudes bang, baby. They bang.
Let's do that. I will play a 60 frame game. We'll play the same game. I got the 60, you got 30. See how it goes.
Why would you have 60? Why don't you have 30? You the 30 guy.
I'm the one fighting the 60 significant. He's fighting the 30 isn't.
You're the 30 man. You're the man at 30.
No. Phil is in here. He says exactly, Addict. I play mainly on PC and 60 is a clear advantage. That's what I'm saying. People that actually put time to PC and
not know that 60 is an advantage. We know that already.
We know 60 frames. No one's trying to say
that's 60. Why you fighting against this 60 on the X.
Lord Kaibatsu in this chat acting like that ain't shit.
It's always go left.
Oh my God, it goes left with him. But we gonna move on. It's gotta go on all day. Lord King. Destiny 2 might need some rescuing.
All right. I'm here to throw water on the fire.
Thank you.
Right? Because these guys,
I want to throw gas on it though.
I know. And you're my guy. Really, honestly, when it comes to that game, you're my guy. You've been my guy since Destiny 1. You're my guy in Destiny 2. And that's not gonna change because me and you game well together. But these people out here, these tiki torches, put your tiki torches down, brothers. Put them down. It's not dead. It's not over. Everybody wants to make this grandiose statement about this game. Remember, let the game flush itself out. Now, I am in that majority that says that they should have kept all the baseline stuff that they worked so hard for in Destiny 1 and let it carry over and build from there, and don't have us pay for stuff that we already did in sequential DLCs that's going to come later, because for a fact when these other DLCs come out, these microtransactions and these upgrade the guns, because Chris likes to do get the master roll on the guns. He chases that. And strike specific loot and loot for the raid that actually works for the raid. Stuff that we had in place, they took away. That's where the anger comes from.
Yes.
You know, if you're used to getting cocktail fruit with your dinner and your mother takes it away, you're like, listen, we already established cocktail fruit was an everyday thing. What the hell is going on? You understand? So this for the people that don't play Destiny. I'm just giving you an analogy for what's going on. Now, they're gonna give us that cocktail fruit later, but they're gonna give it to us at a cost. Like now, you got to pay 50 cents for this cocktail fruit, and you're like, nah, I was getting it for free. That's where we don't want it to be, and that's where it is because they already set it up that way, and they prefaced it in the beginning with Cade saying that everything got blown up. We starting from scratch. No. That's not the narrative, okay? You don't, that stuff starts from scratch. The guns and stuff and the way that you go to different areas, that starts from scratch. But what you establish, what we grind for, what we put 400, 500 hours in for, we should not have to fight for that and get that back in DLC. So everybody's saying that the game is dead. And I want to know, no, please, no, Jamie. No. I want to know what can they do, because Tuesday is a big day for me, and I'm pretty sure it's a big day for a lot of people. Not for that
Absolutely.
4K, you know. It's hopefully they get a couple of things right. They're not gonna get everything right, but it's gonna bring a lot of us back. And they're talking about catering to us hardcore. But what haven't they mentioned to you? To get you back, and what are you missing that you want to play?
This is a good question. I got a bunch to talk about on this. Let me get our guest. Let's get Lord Dolapo. First of all, I'm assuming, Dolapo, you're not a Destiny player, or
no?
Where
I did. I played it.
So let me get your perspective from the outside looking in with this whole situation. Obviously, there's a big unrest in the community. Bungie came out with a big article this week in reference to that. Everything what Lord King is saying about trying to improve it for the Curse of Osiris DLC that drops on Tuesday. So where's your whole thought process of what you've been seeing of what's going on?
So are we going to discuss the progression issue too, or does that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So just as a blanket thing, me looking at Destiny 2, like with any RPG, I like to put in as much time as I feel I got my $60 worth, because frankly, for me, RPGs a lot of times, especially like this, there's no real end in sight, so you just keep going and going and going. The fundamental problem that I have with Destiny is that it clearly wants to be an MMO. It's doing like the marketing is all like MMO, but at the end of the day, they're not doing things that MMOs do. The walling your content, first and foremost, walling any content behind a paywall, it for me, who has played other MMOs that I think operate better, it doesn't speak very well to me. So walling content and expansions behind paywalls is something that a lot of MMOs don't do, so you're already messing up there. If you want to build that base, you want to keep that base, you got to keep giving them something new to do. I'm one of those people who hit that level cap really fast. I powered through it, and I was just like, wow, this is a great game. But personally, I'm not the kind of person who just keep going and doing raids and things like that. So they don't really have anything for me to do. Gotcha. And I already deleted it off of my PlayStation, so I'm not going to reinstall it. But it's just things like that. There's a lot of barriers to, continued play for people like me who don't feel as though I'm getting a value out of things like the expansions. There's no way for me to taste or test drive, expansions and things like that either, because once again, it's completely walled off by expansion passes. And then you've got the experience nonsense. That was the nail in the coffin for me with Destiny. The idea that you are doing these insidious things to. And a lot of people are, they're trying to brush off the idea that they were doing it to try and sell bright Ingrams. Of course, I think, of course, they were.
You're talking about that XP throttling fiasco.
That makes so much sense to me. If I was a business person, someone said that to me, of course, yeah, throttle it. The idea that they weren't upfront about things like that.
They got their head caught in the cookie jar.
Exactly. What am I supposed to think as a consumer about your game, about your company? Your development company or anything like that, if you guys are doing nefarious things like that doesn't make any sense to me.
That word nefarious, can I use that? I love that word. I'm sorry, that was funny.
Once again, this is someone who doesn't play it hardcore. This is someone who plays other
That's why
MMOs
your
though and
opinion
looks
is
at it.
respected right now. Yep.
Right, yeah, and this is just me looking at it. Like I've said, I've put so many hours into other MMOs, and I've seen companies do what they're trying to do, and I've seen other companies, learn from that. And this is just something they're gonna have to learn, maybe in Destiny 3, if that's something that happens. But genuinely, in an MMO setting, it's about keeping and maintaining your base. There are gonna be people who come and go all the time, but you have to give your base something.
Thank you. I'm so glad you said that, which is gonna help me transition to my man.
There has to be a balance.
Lloyd Kaibatsu has joined.
I want to say something real quick before he just says okay, Kaibatsu, if you not noticed, we on Destiny. I am not going to engage you in conversation with the last topic because we don't have time for that. So if you want to talk about Destiny, then by all means talk about Destiny. If you want to talk about frames per second,
I'm not going to
be talking to yourself.
Let's go, Kai.
Is what important. And the thing is, I specifically like what Potentially Perfect is saying, because that's my exact opinion in regards to Destiny. They need to find a balance to keeping the guys who come in, but then also doing MMO sensibilities so that the hardcore have something to do.
But I don't think has Bungie ever came out openly and said that they modeled this game like an MMO.
Of course, they're not going to say it, but
they're not going to say it blatantly.
But then I don't understand why you guys expect this to be
games
like an
as
MMO.
a service in and of itself is.
But if
like
they don't promote it as like an MMO, then why do you guys expect it to be an MMO?
So if they don't say it doesn't exist. That's what you're basically
right.
saying.
You need
they did say it was an MMO though. What are you talking about?
No. They have been over the years. They've been kind of acting like it's not, like there's something else.
Yeah. No, when it was released in the Game Informer, they said the MMO, the 10-year MMO. That's it.
They've never gotten
a lot of that was before the final release.
I think they've actually came out and said that they don't make this game towards an MMO.
Yeah, they've been trying to act like there's something.
They've been trying to step away from it. I'm not trying to hear that. I'm not trying. What you told me in the beginning was you're an MMO, and I've been running with that because, I said in the same vein of a World of Warcraft, which is not. World of Warcraft, you have 100 people raids, and it gets really fun. I thought it kind of sucked that you only had 6 people in the raid. That's me. Sorry.
And also the daily missions and the public events also originated in the MMO space.
Exactly. Any game in which the community is the central focus about it kind of lends itself to that MMO feel. Like that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make and build that community around it so that people are
what about games like Overwatch? That's a community game. Like, is that an MMO?
Right, but it's not a living world. It's not this games as a service the phrase they keep trying to push and shove down our throats.
Right.
That's what an MMO is in and of itself. It's something that people come back to and they build themselves within this game that's like it's more than just having a community that plays. It's a community that's invested, does things together, like the raids and things like that. The content behind it is way different. It's modeled towards community as opposed to Overwatch. You go in blind matches and things like that. At
the end of the day, man, like to be completely and 100% honest with you guys, I'm over Destiny. Like I watched these streams and I didn't even know they canceled the 3rd stream. And it just shows me that and this is coming from someone that has over 1,000 hours in the first one, got like 500 hours in this one. It's just, let's be real here, man. The game's not dead, but we are not the thing that they're looking for now.
I want to jump in, and I think, Lord, you're making some good points. I mean, shout out to Brap in the chat. He said you think they're trying to be everything to everyone. It's one of those things right now that I consider this a watershed moment for Destiny. This is where this thing can go left very quickly. And obviously
already went left.
The community is very upset. The player base is down. Obviously since the XP throttling, which talked about last episode, they got exposed for lying, which basically, like Lord Dolapo says, is pretty much promoting their little microtransaction system. I hear where Lloyd Kaibatsu is coming from as far as they have to do something for the hardcore base. Me and Lloyd Kaibatsu, we've gone at this ad nauseum with each other. Like, we will send messages to each other daily, just talking about what Destiny needs to do. And trust me, I hear what you guys are saying. Like and even you, Lord King, in the sense that we all know this thing is following a WoW MMO kind of a framework, right?
Mhm.
It's in its core basis in MMO. Whatever they can say to try to avoid it, it is. You know what I'm saying? Now, the end of the day is the problem right now is they haven't been doing enough for the hardcore base because you got guys like you said, Lord Dolapo, he powered through, he's got everything he's got to get, and he's gone. You know what I'm saying? And the problem is Destiny 1 had so many of these hardcore activities and things that rewarded you that kind of showed your level of dedication in the game. Right? And because they got rid of a lot of those systems and these things that they worked so hard from year 1 Destiny to year 3 Destiny that wasn't available at launch.
You know how
or live it. Okay,
you know how I knew it was bad? You know how I knew something was wrong? Not necessarily it was bad.
Mhm.
When I grinded like crazy to get prepared for the raid, for the Leviathan raid.
Mhm.
And then when they dropped the numbers, I'm like 15, 16 light levels higher than the actual like highest maximum light. So like right there was kind of like a little red flag. It was like, you know, it was like if this would have been Destiny 1, Leviathan would have came out 390.
Right. Well, the red flags for me, and like I said, shout out to Lord Kaibatsu, is that when they put the clan thing out, I'm like, okay, clans, that's a great thing. That's dope. But to me, what disgusted me is when you log in and people who did not even do the raid, didn't even do trials, are going to Hawthorne and collecting engrams and getting trials weapons, trials gear, raid weapons, raid gear without stepping foot in those activities. That to me was a red flag. That to me is now you're catering too much to the casual base. And at the end of the day, these are the things that kept the hardcore going, and these random rolls and these things to grind for and ornaments. They had all these great systems at the end of the life cycle of Destiny 1 that was not there. So that to me is when I was like, whoa, this is a problem, because everyone's getting the 300 or whatever it is very fast. They've done everything they had to do. There's nothing else more to grind for. And even shout out to Kaibatsu, like great quests like the Black Spindle. Remember stuff like that? Stuff like the Sleeper Stimulant quest, where it really took so much to put these things together to get these exclusive weapons. So now to reel it back in to what Lord King is saying, you know, can they turn it around? Obviously, they put the blog post out. And I got to be honest, like I wasn't expecting much from this, you know, about all the changes they're going to do for Curse of Osiris, all the changes coming in late December, all the changes coming in January. And I will say with the Masterworks thing, with the random roles, they pretty much stated they're going to have all these new systems rewards to keep people engaged. Also better rewards for the hardcore players, private matches and crews, basically all the things that we've been complaining.
Lord Magneto,
do
you think, and because I'm listening to you talk, and do you think Hawthorne is the reason why the raid guns don't have specific perks for the raid?
Yeah, it's two-part. I think the mistake they made is they went for the money. The casual base makes money. At the end of the day, you get new people to come to your game that've never played your game. The problem with is the casual base that once they get said thing, they made it so easy for progression to get to that target that once they got there, the casuals like, okay, we got everything. Oh, by the way, Assassin's Creed's out later.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, you know, Mario's out. Peace. The casuals, they're done with you. So who's left? We're the guys that promote exactly to the casuals to say, hey, come on, you know, or these people come on and play on. Okay, Kaibatsu, I know you want to jump in. I can hear you. I can hear you. Go ahead.
This is where me and you have kind of deferred inside this particular argument.
I mean, as in Cognito's right and you're wrong.
let Kai go. Let him eat.
My whole thing with it is the casuals are fine when they get to that middle ground. They're fine with going through the dailies, going through the nightfalls, and they're getting their special exotic. It's fine. They're done. But when it comes to the hardcore guys who can do the raids, do the raid procedures, and get that super gear, or especially also the trials, the gear that you get from the trials, they don't care about that. They be like, "Good for you. I can't do that," and then they're good. That's the balance that Destiny needs to go.
Right. See, that's the thing, because trials. Shout out to Lord Sinister. Shout out to B Money in the chat. I feel what you're saying on PvP, bro. Trials was a badge of honor. Only the elite could do that, right? If you're giving away the gear and the weapons that are for the elite in a basic clan engram where all you got to do is log in because you're down with a crew, that's a problem. That is a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like they've casualized so many hardcore in-game activities because it's this feeling like we have to get everyone involved. And I get it from one standpoint, but you can't give away the gear. You got to provide content. Like shout out to Lord Tobo in the chat. He's made a great point. You got to provide content for the casuals, but you still got to cater to the hardcore. You have to do that.
And that's where Bungie messed up. Their definition of casualized is wrong.
The thing is, they failed to remember that the casual base only matters at launch.
Yes,
it only matters at launch.
I mean, I wouldn't.
Anybody else, they're gonna walk away from the game. And again, you're trying to get more people to become hardcore, right? So you're trying to get them in and not close them off.
No, but also,
I wouldn't.
Let's solve it. Let's solve it. I want to hear it.
So they made that mistake where they didn't create the middle ground. Right. I think like moving forward, what they have to do is they have to create another tier. I think the casual stuff is so ingrained in the game as it is now that rolling it back would be a huge mistake. I think what they need to do is they need to focus on creating another tier where the hardcore can live, can stay and play their end-game content. Because at this point, I think just the other stuff is too integral to the game that you would break it. You would completely break it if you tried to just run it all back. Right. So this is the mistake they made with this game. I understand wanting to get more people in. I understand wanting to give people the mea culpa after people walked away from Destiny 1. But they messed up in another way, right? The first one, it was content the first one was content light, and little by little they improved upon that. And then with this one, it was just like they tried to beat everything to everyone. Right. And you just can't, because the people that matter at the end of the day are going to stick with it are running away from it in droves now.
And that's the key right now. Let me explain something to y'all. Shout out to Lord Anchorman. Shout out to Lord Addict. We used to be in a battle with Lord Anchorman during the Destiny 1 phase, right?
I refuse to admit he was right about anything. He's still wrong about everything.
But we got to say this, right? Lord Dolapo, there on the Xbox basically dashboard, there's this category called most played, right? The game that's the most played on Xbox Live, and it show you about the top 20 during this console lifespan of Destiny 1, the game lifespan. Destiny 1, even in its lowest era, like pre-Taken King or whatever, would always sit from either the number 1 spot, maybe no lower than the number 5 spot. And even in the game, like I said, even with the games at its lowest point, the player base was still there. Fast forward now to 2017. After that first month, Destiny 2 absolutely took the number 1 spot as soon as it came out in September. Player base was engaged. After about a month, it's not even in the top 10 anymore. It's like Fortnite, it's COD, and Destiny would be able to withstand those games. Like it would be able to withstand it. Like even if it would drop, it would never fall out of existence out of a top 10. That means the player base is gone. Like, they are out. So not only the casuals left, right? The hardcore, they've pissed off the hardcore to the point where the hardcore is like, look, I'm seeing popular Destiny streams. Shout out to Lord Cactus, he's been on the show. You know what I'm saying? Holtzman. These guys are talking about, hey guys, what are we doing on Fortnite tonight?
Yeah.
That's a problem. Yeah. You got PUBG dropping next week. I mean, the week after. That's a problem.
Yeah, I do want to say this. Like, they had the right mentality during Destiny 1. They kind of had that, Don Matrick mentality. When people would complain about, oh, this is too hard. Well, we got something for you. If you don't like raids because it's too hard, we got something for you. It's called strikes. If you don't like Trials of Osiris, we got
strikes with no strike specific loot.
We got something for you. No, I'm talking about Destiny 1.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, we got something for you. It's called the Crucible. Trials too hard? Play the Crucible. And it's like, that's what they're messing up this. They took the stuff that kept the hardcore happy during the last game, and they casualized the shit out of that too.
Let me ask a question though. As someone who I haven't played it in a little bit. For the hardcore gamers, is it still possible to stay hardcore without purchasing the expansions? Like, do you think it's something they can still enjoy?
No.
It's always been about that DLC continuing production. They've modeled themselves after the World of Warcraft model, which is
about the new drug.
Yep. The light level gets raised, the level get, and you have to complete that end game to reach max cap.
And
You
the
think,
funny
oh, it's mild there.
The funny thing is, it's not like one of those things where maybe they give you a couple weeks. Nah, it's usually the first week is a new exclusive raid that come for the new expansion.
Yeah, you got to grind real hard, and the raid comes out the following week, and everybody is just tuning in. But what I'm seeing and what I'm noticing is, if they're yelling out with these tiki torches and they're telling you that it's burning to the floor, that doesn't really make you want to go back. I'm confident a lot of people that were playing purchased the season pass, and they will show up on the 5th just to see. But I want to know: do you think that the 5th is going to impress enough to keep them, that when the other patches come out, they say, I'm going to go back and try that out?
Right.
Because if it's not compelling enough in this December 5th patch, it won't be good.
Yeah.
I think the story content has to be compelling to bring back a lot of the casuals.
Yes.
Right? And then have them kind of stumble upon all the hardcore stuff that they're hopefully adding to this stuff, and then stick around. But I think the story stuff has to be prime.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the first part of it. And the second part of it is, like, again, I saw the blog post. They made their mea culpa. They're apologizing. They're saying all the right things. They're on the right path to doing the right things of what we want. The question is, like Lola King said, will it be enough? And I think it's going to come down to the hardcores having to give the cosign that, hey, these are baby steps. This is the right direction. I honestly don't see it completely turning around until like spring, or possibly the next, Taken King style DLC, whatever.
They better come out hard on the next one, because they got to take away Addict's hate for that raid.
Yeah.
Because he has unrelenting hate for apartment 2C. I'm telling you.
Shout out to Love Negative and him last week. Oh my God, that was classic.
I wanted to throw one thing on that, especially, and it's good that with King here. Because people talk about the raid.
Good King here, so you can have backup. Is that what you know?
Because we actually play MMOs, not like you fake guys. Anyway,
I'll accept that.
As I was saying, with the raid tiers and the apartments, like it was said before, that was a feature. World of Warcraft actually implemented that first, but they implemented that after they had like about 6 or 7 raids. It was something to add a little bit of variety. I feel that the main issue that they had with that is, like, if you only have one raid, you should not be putting that. That's after you have like 7 or 8 raids under the belt, so you can change stuff up and keep people playing with the variety. That was like the main issue with that.
Lord Kaibatsu, I honestly think, and this is my opinion, remember, this thing is big enough to eat planets, right? So when you were doing a raid, you were going down to Mars, or you were going to Venus, you were going to planets. They can correct this by going to planets inside of this Leviathan.
If it's like a Vex-themed joint, that would save a lot.
I think it is going to be Vex. I think it's going to be Vex themed. But at the end of the day, it's like, regardless if, it's perception. It's like it could be a completely different scenario, completely different look, and it's still at the Leviathan.
But if it's a Vex themed thing and it's a Vex boss and it's hot,
my issue is
we'll have to see how it actually.
I got to see it. I'm willing to give it a chance.
My big issue is, like, I want them to act like it's a raid and not like a raid activity. Like that just makes me nuts.
Yeah, take away that word that you're hating, because you know what? To be honest with you, in this, you're the majority. You right now are the Tiki Torch guys.
Yeah, no.
Nah, I went past Tiki Torch. I'm burning shit down.
Yeah, because because he's a hardcore guy, and he's upset.
Yeah. If they pissed off more raid activity, that's a problem. Yeah, that's a problem.
Well, let's wrap that. Let's go, because
we got a lot to finish up. So that was that. Good topics, boys, and we are going to move on. Lord Sav, you got a little spotlight going on with the blade.
Yeah, we got Lord Sovereign in the corner by himself playing Xenoblade.
Chronicles. Talk to us.
All right, guys. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the last big release for Nintendo for the year. And it is a hardcore old school style JRPG. If you like old school Suikoden, old school Final Fantasy, this is the game for you. You love grinding. You love grinding. You love weird characters, weird arcs. This is the game for you. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is the sequel to Xenoblade Chronicles, which really came out on the Wii, and then Xenoblade Chronicles X that came to the Wii U in 2015, I think. So this game, let me take it from a technical aspect first. The game is beautiful. The game has this sort of painterly, sort of anime look, kind of mixed with like steampunk kind of sensibilities. So it's a beautiful game. The game runs. I saw a few hitches in handheld mode, and then when I docked it, it actually ran a little smoother. The game.
Oh yeah, there's a docked mode.
Yeah, that's
the Switch can play docked.
The Switch can't play docked. So that said, like the game runs pretty well. It's a 30 frames per second game, but again, the art style sort of supersedes any sort of technical little misgivings that you might see.
I'd like to stream it, but I'm scared to. So
don't get
why are you afraid to? You're gonna.
Because Nintendo got that magnifying glass looking for 80.
Oh yeah, that's true. They're gonna get you. They're gonna get you, especially story wise. So now, when it comes to the story is pretty cool. It's kind of cliched in some ways, just like a lot of JRPGs. The protagonist is a guy who he basically searches for records and stuff and treasures, and he's
a weirdo. You got to say that he's a weirdo.
Well, they're all weirdos, though, aren't they?
He is by far the most weirdest. He is by far the weirdest.
So his deal is that he takes on a mission for an exceptional amount of money. And he doesn't know who his employer is or what they want him to get.
You gotta throw that in there. He literally didn't do any kind of research. He just took this. And I know this is kind of spoiling, but it's the first 5 minutes of the game. Guys, get over it.
It's very early on in the game. So the thing is, and this is an arc that they have for a lot of protagonists in JRPGs. They have this naivete to them. They're usually very good, and then they put themselves in a situation where they have to save the world. But in the process, the thing about JRPGs that are very interesting is that in the process of the story, you kind of find the dirty underpinnings of these people because they're forced to be put in situations where they have to murder. It's just they murder. Oh yeah, they murder a lot. So it's a very interesting story arc in terms of voice acting. I think the main character Rex is voiced very well. Conor McGregor light as Lord Cognito refers to him.
You're telling me they got voice acting in the Nintendo Switch game?
Yes, sir.
It's actually a significant amount of acting too. It's not like Zelda. You get like 5 cutscenes the whole game.
No, son. They got cutscenes. They got cutscenes like every 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's
and it be long expositions. Yeah. Like they be going. It's like you're watching this Saturday morning JRPG cartoon that's going down. Like they want to talk about everything. They want to break.
Yeah, they do. I mean, when you're walking around the world and you're talking to NPCs, it's just going to be text. But anything story wise, it's going to be fully voiced. Some of the English voices, can be a little hit or miss, but the main protagonist. Calvin. Yeah. They gave that to Calvin. They certainly
got the
did.
Japanese voice pack though. You can download.
They do, and there's something for me personally. The Japanese voice pack, I can't play the entire game like that. This is a 100-hour investment. I want to hear English voice.
I agree, and you lose the banter between the characters in the fight.
I will say, I'm pretty decent. Like I think I'm probably 6-7 hours into it now. And like one of the biggest things that I'm kind of noticing that like I enjoy the dubbed at the beginning, they were really good. But then I'm sitting here like, is everyone from everywhere British in Ireland? Like
everyone's not Irish and British.
I'm serious. Like I feel like everyone I talk to, and like it'd be different if it was like one section. Like there's stuff that like everywhere I go, someone's Ireland. It's like the same 2 accents, and I'm like, yo, like man, like. I'm just sitting here be like, man, I don't hear no black people, no white people, no Asian. It's like
Yeah, they may have a little bit on that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's definitely. But it makes for some entertaining conversation. Like Cognito said, like the banter means a lot. So having the Japanese voice packs for me, like I just can't. Not for a game that's this involved, right?
It's kind of like they were having a cell. It's like the British and Ireland actors are having a cell.
I'm done with you. Continue.
The game is humongous. When I say humongous, I am not being. This is not hyperbole. The game is huge. For anybody who thinks that dropping a Xenoblade game 2 years after the last one means that they shortchanged this one, no.
Mm-hmm.
The world is huge. The world is amazing. Mankind is living on the backs of these animals called titans now, these beasts, right? And basically those are the worlds that you explore. So it's these living like ecosystems that you're exploring and you're fighting in. It's a design element that's beautiful to see, and because the way each animal's like body sort of contours to make different things that you would see like in nature is a very cool thing to see. And I to me, it sets the game apart from a lot of other games in terms of design in that regard. In terms of gameplay, there's one thing about JRPGs that I kind of always never liked, but I still continue to play, is the fact that I don't like auto attacking. I'm the type of guy.
A little weird about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like pressing buttons to attack. That's why I sort of gravitate more to Western style RPGs. But that said, there's a lot of depth in this fighting system. So basically, the fighting system is kind of like a two-person thing. Mm-hmm. You are what they call a driver, right? Mm-hmm. And you have a person that's attached to you, tethered to you, literally, called a blade, right? And the blade is what provides the power to you to attack. It provides the magic, it provides your attack power, and your job is to basically sort of use strategy in terms of how you fight certain enemies and placement before the fight, stuff like that. So it's something that I haven't really seen in a JRPG before, and it's implemented very well. It's very cool. And to me, it speaks to like larger sort of themes in the actual story, because this person whose fate is tethered to you. There's a lot of themes about like slavery and subserviency and stuff like that. And from what I've seen so far, this JRPG handles all of that stuff very well. Like I think it has, in the end, it's going to have something kind of powerful to say. And what I've played so far of it, I'm only like, again, 6-7 hours in. What I've played so far of it, I'm loving it. But it is an acquired taste in that if you're not a JRPG head and you know what you're getting into, you might feel overwhelmed because it's very systems heavy. There are a lot of menus to sort of go through, a lot of nuances to the fighting that you have to kind of be prepared to learn. And if you're willing to do that and you're willing to explore, this is as good a JRPG as you're going to see. Like it really is. It surprised me that 2 years out from the last one, they're able to make something with this much depth. This little things that obviously they could have maybe taken more time with. Like I said, like the voice acting and stuff. And
Lord Sovereign, I got a question. Like a lot of JRPGs came out this year. A lot of RPGs came out this year. And let's assume that I have all the systems right.
Right.
And your recommendation. No, I'm just saying, like I'm talking about, for the other people that's
act like he have all the systems.
No, I'm talking about. Hey, shut up. Listen, I'm at 60 frames per second. Cut it out. I'm talking about for other people that's in the chat. Would you highly recommend the game opposed to like other ones, like as far as Final Fantasy, even though Final Fantasy this time has been a little westernized, very westernized, to be honest with you.
Right.
So you have a couple of other RPGs that came out this year, and would you recommend it above them? Because I'm looking to get the game. I didn't know, because I have so many games this year, which is crazy. But if it's a must own, I want to know if it's must own on Switch.
I think it is definitely a must own on Switch. I think if somebody who's looking for a hardcore JRPG, and didn't get that with Final Fantasy, like you said, it's been westernized, and especially in terms of the combat and stuff like that's been westernized. And if the Persona 5 sort of aesthetic doesn't appeal to you, because I know for JRPGs, like I'm the type of guy, I like high fantasy stuff, the high fantasy, the steampunk stuff. When you take it into modern day, for me, I lose interest a little bit. Persona's fantastic, but if you want your JRPGs to have that sort of like fantastical, beast stuff and like craziness, then this is definitely going to be more up your alley. Like I said, in terms of like pure old school turn-based grindy JRPG stuff, this is like the template.
That's what I miss. I hate that free roaming crap. I hate it. I swear. I love the turn based. Okay, this guy is gonna make that move. You have to strategize. And
the funny thing with this is that it kind of walks that line a little bit, blurs it, because let's say you get into a fight right with an enemy. Right. It's still you get into the fight in the open world. It's not like you can see the enemy, you walk towards them and you fight. Now you could be in the middle of that beef and somebody walking around like near you could stumble upon the beef and I'm fighting 2 more guys now. Like it's one of those things. So it kind of walks that line a little bit where once you get into a fight, it doesn't isolate you to that fight. Like some other stuff can happen.
And plus, I was running through this little pond, and then I started hearing the music play, and I'm sitting here looking around. I'm like, where is that music coming from? And I looked up, and like a level 76 bird was chasing me. I was like, yeah, good luck with that. I just
I'm not messing with you right now. Yeah, and the ability to run away actually is
it's needed. I got to my face in the situations I had business throwing my face in.
Yeah, I love the flee button. I'm out of here.
Lord Dolapo, did you get a chance to pick up Xenoblade, or are you waiting?
So yeah, like I said, I'm one of those people who can't finish a game for anything. So when I need to see what's going to happen in January with the Direct first, that way I know exactly how much time I have before the next big release. Then I can drop it, because I just don't think I have the time to invest in that game like it deserves.
So hold on. I got to get this straight. Okay. You got to wait a month to realize if you can wait another month to play a game.
Because they're look, the way Nintendo operates. Okay, I don't know if you noticed, like with Video Game Awards, by the way, go vote. They've got this thing called the most anticipated games, and I thought it was really funny how, like, I think 4 of the 5 games, something like that, are PlayStation exclusive because they announce their games way earlier than Nintendo does. Okay, Nintendo, they don't really tell you the next game that's coming out 8 months from now, that kind of thing a lot of times. So I need to know where my money is going.
You don't want to put that money down on the Xenoblade just in case I'm hot.
Exactly.
And it'd be like Metroid, January.
I know. Can we at least live in reality and realize that like nothing significant's going to come out in the first 3 months of
But here's the thing, though. There's a leak right now that EA, shout out to Lord Spawnwave Media, they're having a Nintendo Direct as well in January. And so I remember before they were on some, we gotta wait and see, what happens with Switch, and it's popping.
Switch loot boxes, baby.
Exactly. So we gotta see what they gonna do. And there's a rumor. What's that? King, you know what I'm talking about in Valicon. It was E3. EA showed a game. It was like a prison.
That buddy combat game. I mean, buddy game. Yeah.
I don't know how true it is, but
they're claiming that it might be delayed to 2019.
True.
Good. Put it back.
I heard there's multiple platforms. These things might be coming.
Yeah, I heard Switch. Yes, I did.
There's rumors in these streets, so we'll see. So you might.
Rumors in these streets that Devil May Cry 5 is a PlayStation exclusive, and I'm not liking that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a bill and tell him to go buy something too.
I don't think A Way Out's coming to the Switch. I think that's malarkey, because I remember there's an interview with the developer guy talking about how much trouble he was having with the PS4, talking about how antiquated that system was.
Wow.
I don't think it's going to the Switch. Yeah,
it might come out. It might come out at 480i.
I'm done with you.
Interlaced. It might be interlaced.
Kai, you still there?
Yep, still here.
Quick question. I know you kind of held off because you have ESO for the Switch. Based on what you've seen so far on Xenoblade, is it something that you might pick up later on down the road, or you still going to be on some
No,
like?
I'm definitely gonna pick it up down the road, but at the same time, when Skyrim came out, there were so many games that came out during that time. I never got a chance to really delve into it.
Gotcha.
So that's actually gonna be my RPG.
Yeah, Skyrim's probably got your soul right now.
Yes, it does.
Plus, they haven't announced the Zelda DLC yet, too. That's another.
Whatever happened to part 2 of the Zelda DLC?
They say it's coming this month. I don't know. I haven't heard
I don't know
anything.
when.
All right, that's cool.
I don't care about that.
Lord, so you had one more point about 2017 you want to get in before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, so final thing on Xenoblade, get that game. If you love JRPGs, if you love RPGs, give it a try. It is a fantastic game. You just got to stick with it because it's hardcore.
No doubt.
Now that said, with Xenoblade being like the last big release for Nintendo of the year, with PUBG being the last big release for Xbox for the year, and Sony basically kind of done for the year in terms of stuff for
Mailing
them.
it in. Yeah.
Mailing it in with their third parties. Not kidding.
Shots fired. Continue.
Who do we think at this point? I think we can have a pretty decent opinion on this. Who do we think won 2017 and why? I think certain stuff is pretty obvious. I know Lord Cognito.
Let's go to Lord Addict and let King.
Are we talking about who won the whole year or just
Nintendo? Talking about who won the year. I gotta go with Nintendo.
Wow.
Let's salute. Yes, sir.
I didn't think he would say it. You
know why I'm gonna say Nintendo? I'm gonna say Nintendo because they had all the games that they released that was their AAA titles. I couldn't do without.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I needed them in my life. I needed that Zelda like I needed drugs. I don't do drugs, but if I did drugs, there'd be Zelda drugs.
That'd be that Zelda.
I don't like their DLC. Their mismanagement of DLC sucks to me. Their content is not compelling. I'm so sorry. You have to have compelling content for me to purchase. If
you're not getting those Amiibo cereal boxes,
no. You know what? I went out and purchased every last Amiibo for Zelda for this upcoming DLC that's supposed to work for it. And same thing with Mario. You saw I posted those guys. I'm gonna support these guys. I'm gonna support them. If you're gonna work in my lane, I'm gonna be in that lane with you. We're gonna do this together. All right. My thing is, I want story-driven DLC content. Give me that. Don't give me little rooms in apartment 2C, and I'm supposed to go over here.
No raid activities.
No, that's exactly what they did. It was like, hey, check it out. You can go in 2C over here, and it's a little bit harder than it was in 2A. No. I don't want that. So please step that up. And that's about it. But Nintendo won the year. I'm sorry, it's a fact. Yeah, I wanted the X. I got the X, and they made every other game beautiful. Sony came in second, and then, Microsoft came in third.
Lord Addict, where are you at with 2017? Which system won to you?
I guess I have to say Nintendo.
What? I am shocked right now.
Well, who am I gonna say?
No, I didn't.
What have I said any this year that would remotely think Xbox?
Why I thought you was on the fence with it, because me and you had this talk offline, and for the masses, right? The Switch year has been a fantastic year, but for you, I know you. Like,
it doesn't matter. You have two better games at the whole year. It's about the games, and they had the better.
True. But my question for you is this: before Xenoblade Chronicles, you kind of fell off with Nintendo. You was like, after Zelda, I'm good. You wasn't really feeling you really wasn't a Splatoon guy. You wasn't an ARMS guy. Like all their big stuff, Mario Kart, but you really wasn't, like, even the indies that I was loving and me and Sav were going crazy about, you wasn't really crazy. It's not until Xeno and I hit you, I'm like, yo, you gotta check out that Xeno. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna jump in on it. And you jumped in on the Xeno and you're loving it. So my question is, before Xeno 2, would this still have been your pick for who won 2017?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm impressed. Wow.
Because Sony and Nintendo, not so much on Sony, a little bit better on Sony, but Microsoft just completely dropped the ball this year. And for the most part, Sony had good games, but none of them like you have to add their games up to compete with a Zelda.
Right. Yep. That's how I felt. That's
So
exactly how I
even
felt.
let me ask y'all this: what even with the Neo, the Horizon Zero Dawn, the Hellblade, like y'all ain't even got Sony. Like I'm shocked by this.
I gave them seconds, so that's what they did.
Okay, I got you.
Like at the end of the day, it's like even if Zelda would have just came out, I had more fun with Zelda than anything I'm playing on PlayStation.
Okay, facts. Lord Dolapo, who do you have winning 2017?
So it was actually really close for first, and the reason why I say that is because with me, it usually comes down to discussion. What are people talking about more? What has made the most impact? I would go Nintendo, Microsoft, then Sony. And the reason why,
Wow.
yes, the reason why, when Nintendo, they came out of the gate, they did something nobody was expecting. Everybody was talking, they were talking nonsense. They were like, this isn't going to sell. They looked at them and said, wait. So they came out of the gate, they came out strong, they came out pumping out fantastic content. And what he was saying, Addict was saying was very true. When you talk about, Horizon, somebody's going to bring up Zelda. When you talk about near all these games, somebody's going to bring up Zelda. Talk about Super Lucky's Tale, Mario.
That is a good point. You bring up Horizon, people are almost anyone that played both are going to say, but I enjoyed Zelda more.
Yeah.
It is true. And they came out around the same time, too.
And the reason why I say Microsoft came out in second, as opposed to Sony, is because Sony for a long time has genuinely just been coasting. They're this place with their playing it safe. They're complacent. They're going half a year without releasing a first party game, that people are really talking about. That to me does not scream that I'm, for the players or whatever that nonsense they're talking about.
People keep forgetting about that. Everything came out at the beginning of the year was a third party dead that was exclusive.
Yeah.
When did Hellblade come out? I'm just curious. I forgot.
Hellblade's third party.
Third party.
But when did it come? Just out of curiosity.
Summertime.
Like summer? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to I got to get that game stuff. I'm just trying to figure out when it came out. Continue.
Yeah, and they just have this whole thing where Microsoft, at least, when you look objectively, even as someone who doesn't own an Xbox, I'm what I am eventually, it speaks to me because they do a lot of things that say, hey, we are here for the consumer. They do a lot of quality of life stuff that I really like to see, and I would love it if Sony did that. It's just really simple things, and I think that Microsoft is making a lot of moves positively, and I can't wait to see what they do in 2018, and that's why. I put them.
Shout out to Genji Gadget the Truck. He said Nintendo's games come out every 6 months. Y'all smoking. Yo, he going in. He hating on us. He like, nope. He is not feeling us.
What do you say?
Yo, he going in. Yo, Genji is going in. He said, y'all in La La Land.
I mean, but Genji though.
Hold on,
really
Genji.
good games though,
The
right?
Xbox has probably. Yo, he going hard. I like Genji. He going hard.
Genji, I'm
6
confused.
months.
What do you mean? Like, even if it's like one every 6 months, like Sony dropped like 2 this year, 2 or 3. Like, are you gonna hold them to the fire? Like, you can't count Persona all them, dude. That's third party exclusives. Like, we're talking about the studios they own. Are we just gonna compare Horizon and in sports and what was
Genji,
that the race
subscribe.
game that they had?
Yeah,
subscribe, Genji. I like it.
And I feel I see what Genji going on. Listen, for me,
what? But every 6 months, a game came out every month. What is
every month? Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about on that.
You gotta let her rock with it. You gotta let her rock with it.
He's like, "Where's your Metroid?"
Yo, you can tell he's a PlayStation dude. You gotta let him rock with it. I love it.
I like you, Genji. I love the passion. Shout out to. Here's the thing. Like for me, it's definitely Nintendo hands down because every month there was a major release, at least every month to every other month. But the thing I don't think Nintendo gets enough credit was
that's for you, Genji.
Third party and the games in between that they're not getting credit. Like people are forgetting, like, yo, NBA 2K18 came out on a Switch, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's a big deal.
That's a big deal. Like I see what it is the Sony guys tend to and the Microsoft guys tend to be like, oh yeah, because we get that every year, right? But games like ESO, you got playing ESO right now.
I do feel like you can't give them props for having a third party they should have had every year.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing when we get into the argument with the retarded kid syndrome, right? Here's the thing. Y'all always go retarded kid syndrome, but here's the thing. Y'all gotta remember, if you didn't have before and now you have, that's a big deal. We
That's
cannot
right.
negate
No
that.
cocktail fruit versus
Oh my
cocktail fruit.
God, I can't.
It's Nintendo. Let's give them the pass because they
Yeah.
got their
So here's the
money.
thing: they didn't have it before.
But now
Y'all
we
so
get
savage.
cocktail fruit. You know what I'm saying?
They
That's important to us.
They get to sit at the big boy table with y'all.
Yeah, listen, I'm not hating. I'm just happy that they are in consideration now. You know, before it was
so hard.
yo, he's out of control in there. I love him.
With 30 frames per second, Nintendo forever. I love Genji. I
Yo,
love that.
but
energy.
Genji, do me a favor and take your PlayStation outside and play it in the street like I can do with that Switch.
Shots fired.
Bang,
There we
bang, bang.
go. You got him. You got him. He took the
Man, all you know is you're gonna see him walking down with some little platform and a battery and a generator.
He got a backpack and a car battery.
Perfect going in. That's the level. Yeah, Nintendo definitely got it. I mean, the portability. Just I'm at work, y'all, playing Xenoblade Chronicles. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much. And Zelda to me that's my personal game of the year. You know, at the end of it, you know, I still give Sony second though. I know people saying there's a lot of gaps and stuff. They still had a great lineup, great exclusives. You know, let's keep it running, y'all.
I
We gave
can't give it
Microsoft the year of the L in 2017.
I can't give it to Xbox just because like the only good game that really came out this year for their platform was like Lucky Tale.
And a lot of people don't even say that.
Thanks, Chief. No, listen, I got the game. The game is really good.
I have it too. Don't mean nothing.
Man, listen. Trust me, it's really that Nintendo. People want to fight that. You can't fight it. You just got to, submit. Get down or lay down, bend that knee. Because if you played Zelda, and I'm telling you, if you did play Zelda, you will understand why it's probably my game of the year.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Microsoft to me salvaged the year with the X. You know what I'm saying? And they really came back on strong to the end, and just happy to see them, feeling good about the system again. And now we get to see in 2018. Let's get these. Yeah,
they brought that good feeling back. You know why the X is so important? And I feel that Microsoft, have a solid 3. It's a solid 3. They was pushing Sony, but Sony had the games.
Oh, my bad, Jack Singer. I did forget about Halo Wars 2. I don't know how I forgot about it. It came out in February. It's old news. Let's move on.
No disrespect. No disrespect. Halo Wars 2 and Cuphead were great, but remember them gaps now. Remember from February.
It was out on Steam. You couldn't even really use that.
Yeah, but Phil didn't lie when it came to the Xbox.
He said 10%. Let's play them type of game. I'm done. Let's move on. Let's wrap this thing.
Yeah, the chat is beautiful. I love you guys. Today has been like one of our best chats.
Yeah, this is one of the best chats in a minute. So real quick, we got a new ILP poll this week.
Hold on, before we do the ILP, let's go through the room one more time. And if you want to change your bend the knees segment thing, now's your time. No, I'm not changing. I'm just giving you guys the option.
No. We looking for knees.
You ain't gonna get on me on this. Shout out to Anchor for his premature killing of me and Addict.
Oh yeah.
I told you it wasn't
like one night counted the whole.
Friday don't matter, bro.
It
could have been. It literally could have been like 10 between all of them, but they won because they saw 10 more.
Get out of here.
Oh, let them fight. Let them fight.
Yeah, let them fight. I'm not saying anything.
You know why you ain't saying anything? You know why? Because you gonna bend that knee, bro.
I'm gonna be tight if I had to bend the knees. I'm gonna be tight. Oh my god.
That's why I'm shutting up. I don't want to.
That's why I'm gonna be quiet. Yeah, I don't. They got too much recorded evidence on me. All right.
I'm kind of McGregor this all the way through.
New ILP poll this week in the wake of the PUBG frame rate controversy. If the Xbox One X is capable of pushing 60 frames per second in a competitive multiplayer game when the Xbox One S is unable, should a uniform frame rate be used? 30 frames per second. A, yes, competitive parity must be kept. B, no, X is a premium product and must not be held back. Or C, I don't care, I'm playing Xenoblade 2.
or four. Drop it down to 480i.
There you go. 480i 60. Let's go.
Actually, can I request a 4?
Yes, go ahead, Leonard.
I want the 4 to be D's wrong.
D's wrong. That's what you had. Or D's one thing is wrong. All right, we'll put that as an
Either
option.
that or Lord King David is full of shit for 400.
What they should do is just give you some bifocals and let you play it at 480i.
That is the question.
Is bifocals free or do I have to pay for them?
Oh my god.
Free.
Those are the choices. Please rock the vote. Hit the ILP Twitter poll. Shout out to Lord Dolapo of Potentially Perfect for coming through.
Yes,
Show
sir.
some love to the Lords. Where can the fine people find you at?
Oh, everywhere. I mean, even Tumblr. We're still using that.
You might need to rephrase that sentence.
So you can follow us at Twitter at PoPerf. We're here on YouTube. We do some Twitch streaming every once in a while, but mainly our streaming's here. Our content is mainly editorial type pieces and highlight gaming, just all humor based. But
nice.
Yeah.
Anything that we got cooking up that we should be on the lookout for? Promote, brother. Get your promo on. Come on now.
So I'm actually going to be doing an editorial really soon. Should be up by the end of this week about giving developers the credit, both positive and negative, that they deserve, especially when it comes to things like publishers and how we like to tend to give them a lot of flack, when I do believe that artistic integrity is very important. So when you're allowing things like that into your game, you deserve just as much blame as we give companies like EA. So that's just things like that. I'm going to be discussing.
And of course, I need one more Hammond Bros segment.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yo, check that out, y'all. They got one. It's a golf game for PS4.
Yeah, everybody's golf.
I was like, yo, they are fools. Unless they're doing a drinking game with it. So shout out to Lord Steve. Shout out. How many is in the PoPerf crew? Totally. It's you, Steve. It's one more, or
yeah, there's Lewis. He handles the streaming. Yeah.
Shout out to Lewis and all that. We got to definitely get you guys
I'm
back.
looking at their thumbnails. Their thumbnails are lit.
Yo, let me tell you, man, they got good production values. They do really good stuff, man. Like I said, we support everybody, big, small. It doesn't matter. If you're putting out good content, the Iron Lords will give you a platform.
Go follow them. There's the link.
Follow them. Potentially Perfect. And in our hearts, they will always be.
And here's a link to their Twitter.
You know what I'm saying? So shout out to them for coming through.
There's some twisted stuff because on related channels, it's still the other Get Good Gaming. That's
yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah, they got a funny video on what happened about the name. Make sure you guys check that out. That's kind of hilarious too. So Lord Kaibatsu with the new challenger has appeared. How you doing, sir? Where can people find you?
They can find me on Xbox on Lord Kaibatsu. Same thing for the Twitter. Plus, also on the rare times I actually do go to Disneyland, which I call Sony. Only thing I do with Sony is I play their games and go back to the other systems. They're Disneyland, literally.
You're out of control right now.
I do want to say one thing real quick. Notice this man didn't say Steam. What happened to that Steam? Why?
Oh my God! Here we go.
First of all, you seem to forget how many years I got on you.
First of all, you said you not even PC. 10 minutes ago acting like you always on PC. Why didn't you think of a link?
Talk about stuff you have no idea about.
I'm just curious why the link wasn't used. That's all I want to know.
Yo,
Genji Gadget says Sony games are too hard for y'all.
Genji, we like you. Please
we like Genji. You got to come back. Make sure you in their channel. Like that Sony repping. You're going to like next week, too. Next week going to be like Sony. No doubt. So, Lord Addict, where can people find you?
I'm probably going to stream some Bloodborne today. I don't know. You can find me on YouTube, Gaming Addict. You can find me on Xbox, Room to Kill. You can find me on PlayStation, Room to Kill. You can find me on Steam, Gaming Addict. And I don't know what the Switch numbers are, so you'll have to just try to find me there.
No,
but he's not giving out his social security number.
I do want to thank our guests for coming on. It was an interesting conversation. Thanks for the viewers. We had a pretty full day, so you guys have a good day.
Absolutely. Lord Solve, the technical lord back in the biz. Where can people find you?
You can find me on PSN and Xbox Live at BX Sovereign, and Lord Sav ILP on Twitter. And definitely a big shout out to Lord Dolapo for coming through.
Yes, sir.
Lord Dolapo reached out to me months ago, and we had a great conversation on his channel about whether gamers know what they want or not. And unfortunately, some technical issues that we were not aware of to the end of the podcast. And it got lost to the ether, but it was a fantastic conversation, and it's great to finally get him on the podcast.
We've been there, getting lost to the ether.
Yeah, we've all felt the ether sometimes. It's happened. That's the game. No doubt. Lord King with that premium PUBG talk today had me on the floor. Look at the 5 people find you.
Lord Dolapo, thank you for coming through. Every guest is well appreciated because I know you take the time out, especially we're early right now. So, man, you was here nice and early and you had great energy. I love it. Very insightful on everything. And I definitely have to check out Potentially Perfect. I really do. Everybody, you can catch me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, PlayStation, PSN, for Genji. Yo, get at me on PlayStation. It's Xbox 360 Lover 01. All right, you can get at me there, and I'm not trolling you. I'm dead serious, bro. I'm right there. And another note, I don't get political at all. Right. But it's an awareness that I want everybody to be aware of. Is petitions out here. Go, and if you care at all, there's a crisis in Libya. Sign up for that petition for the UN and for us to get involved when stuff really matters, and this really matters. Just go look it up. I'm not going to really get into it on the podcast.
No doubt.
Thank you.
Respect. And yeah, shout out to everybody also, speaking of important stuff. Yeah, shout out to everybody who showed a lot of support. We got a lot of positive feedback for the net neutrality episode. So I want to shout out all the people who were hitting us up, hitting the links and stuff like that information. That was what's up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Lord Cognito here. We spread that game awareness on the ILP. We told you not what you wanted to hear, but what you needed to hear. Again, shout out to Lord Dolapo and the Potentially Perfect crew coming through, showing love at the round table.
I do want to say something before you cancel.
What's up?
You should probably tell them that we're about to switch times again.
Thank you, sir. The co-host with the co-most correcting probably got a couple more episodes, maybe 1 or 2 before. We will not be doing a Christmas weekend episode. We will not be doing a New Year's weekend episode. But after that, I think it's like January 7th, right, Lord Addict? We talked about it. That's when we come back. And then we will be back at our 1 p.m. time.
Yeah, listen, you never know. We might just jump on just for y'all guys, your dedicated dudes, just to say what you got under your Christmas tree.
See, they got a little no coal under their stocking.
It might be just 2 people in the room. You never know. But we might just jump on just for you guys.
Be on the lookout for that. Look like Lord King got something cooking.
Yeah, man. Yo, I don't want y'all to be, it's Sunday. You might look forward to me. So I might just jump on with a little special little podcast for you guys.
Yo, thank you for everybody. Hit that like and subscribe. Chat was lit. Make sure you subscribe to the Inner Circle and all our media outlets. We will get the audio up later. The poll will go up tomorrow. All that support really helps us, and we appreciate y'all, man. And on that note, we out.
Yo, I love